Uncensored. Postgame edition. Real talk, real reaction, real opinions for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami sports leader.
Welcome into Gameday Uncensored Postgame edition. We're, a few seconds or a minute and 9 technically away from actually being in postgame. This Dolphins-Patriots game has been nuts. We just, for a second, thought the Dolphins had scored what would have been a game-winning touchdown, essentially. Devon Achane, an explosive catch from Tua, but it turned out he stepped out of bounds at, I believe, the 27-yard line of New England. So you go from, for a second, you're thinking, hey, we got a touchdown, extra point puts us up, probably wins us the football game. Not only did they back to where he stepped out of bounds, but then Dolphins commit a false start on the next play. So now Miami is back at the 31-yard line of New England, needing to score a touchdown to win this game. There's a minute 9 left on the clock at Hard Rock Stadium. We'll talk you through just the craziness of this football game so far. I mean, somebody's going to have to win this game. Both teams are going to have a lot to address after it's over, especially in the special teams meeting where, there was a sequence a little bit earlier on where, Miami scores a go-ahead touchdown on a Malik Washington punt return. Unbelievable scenes at Hard Rock Stadium. And then on the ensuing kickoff, the Patriots return the kickoff 90 yards. Antonio Gibson, 90 yards for a touchdown to give New England the lead right back. At that point, that was the 4th lead change in this football game. It's been crazy for New England because kicker, who's, my dude, Andy Borregales, the starting kicker for the New England Patriots, missed two extra points early in this football game. Oh, Tua, by the way, just slightly overthrew Jalen Waddle in the end zone. It's 2nd and 20 now with a minute and 4. So obviously if New England is able to get a stop here, the game is over. If the Dolphins score a touchdown, they may leave a few seconds off the clock. Dolphins can finish this one with a 1-point lead. So, in short, Dolphins earlier had scored a touchdown on a punt return. Let me see how many yards that one was. 74-yard punt return by Malik Washington. And then on the next kickoff, a 90-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by New England's Antonio Gibson. That was 2 special teams touchdowns scored within 12 seconds of game time of one another. And, those point swings, the Washington touchdown made it 27-23 Miami. Gibson touchdown made it 30-27 New England. Andy Borregales, former Miami Hurricane kicker, who had missed 2 extra points in the first quarter of the game, bangs a 53-yarder to make it 33-27 New England. And now Miami is trying to score a game-winning touchdown on their final drive. This is one of these situations, folks, and the Dolphins are up against it here, 2nd and 20, from just outside the red zone, needing to score a touchdown. So you're going to need Tua to make a heroic play in what's been a really up and down game for him. He threw an interception not too long ago that, gave New England an opportunity to score what would have been a big touchdown. They had to settle for that long Borregales field goal to at least keep the Dolphins within a score. So that's where we're at right now. And of course, if Miami can come away with this victory, you take any W you can get, especially a division win. But then you're going into, it's going to be 3rd and very, very long now. The Dolphins just kind of went short to pick up some yards on 2nd and 20. I think it's going to be like 3rd and 12 at this point. Obviously you're in 4-down territory here. You're going to be going for it on 4th down no matter what. Dolphins are trying to pick up some chunk yards. So just go in there and get this W. You'll have plenty to talk about, plenty to work on. There was this weird switch that was flipped for the Dolphins offense in this game. Again, they haven't been perfect through the 2nd through 4th quarters, but first quarter today looked as dreadful as they looked against Indianapolis last week. Complete Tua Tagovailoa off on the easiest of throws. He actually threw, an interception. It was negated by a penalty on New England. So he got a little bit lucky and then misfired on the following play to lead to a punt. He did eventually throw an interception that counted later on in the game. But the Dolphins offense first quarter looked completely discombobulated, as did the defense. And then, thankfully, you started to see some signs of life in the second quarter. And Miami's offense was showing rhythm, a lot of motion, a lot of eye candy, the Mike McDaniel hallmarks, some big plays down the field to Tyreek Hill and to Jalen Waddle. By the way, it's going to be 4th and 12 or 4th and 13 with the game on the line here for the Miami Dolphins. As Mike McDaniel is going to look over that play sheet and try to figure out what gives the Dolphins the best opportunity here. And even if you convert the 4th down, you can do that without scoring. If you convert on this 4th down, you still theoretically, unless you get it all on this one play, you still need to get into the end zone with the Dolphins. I think they're around if I'm not mistaken, around the 32 or, they're at the 28-yard line of New England. So a first down at the 16-yard line. Down goes Tua Tagovailoa.
Down goes Tua.
The game is over. New England Dolphins are out of timeouts. New England's going to take over on offense with 48 seconds left, and they can take a knee and run this one out. So I was just hoping Miami could manufacture a win on this one. Obviously the biggest regrets you're going to have, and we're going to talk about it throughout this episode of Gameday Uncensored postgame. And I know people are probably flipping on their radios right now with the game just going final. So if you're just joining us, I am Alex Donno here on 104.3 FM WQAM. We got Trevor Harris in studio making everything go here. I know he's going to be watching his Eagles as we're going to be looking through. We'll be keeping you updated on the 4 o'clock games and the final scores from 1 o'clock. In case you guys missed it, you probably saw it in some of the game-breaking highlights. Cam Ward made an insane touchdown pass for his first NFL touchdown. But where we sit right now, the New England Patriots have just taken a knee. They're running out the clock. Mike Vrabel is celebrating. Patriots are going to improve to 1-1 on the season after falling to the Raiders. And, man, CBS just had this shot of Mike McDaniel on the Dolphins sideline with his head down. The expression of a man who knows his first opportunity as a head coach in the National Football League is very much in jeopardy. He's not going to get fired like tomorrow, just because, Trevor, that would make no sense because the Dolphins play again Thursday. By the way, Thursday night, the 0-2 Dolphins are going to go to Buffalo right into the meat grinder on a short week, traveling up to Western New York. You just pray that game is competitive, right? I mean, for as bad as the Indianapolis opener was, you just hope you go into Buffalo and you don't get one of those prime time type of beatdowns that sends the whole organization into questioning everything, firing everybody. Maybe some Dolphin fans want that at this point. But the Dolphins have just officially fallen 33-27 at home against the New England Patriots, a game where the Dolphins were favored by 1.5 in this one and, had at least 2 leads in this football game. Let's go through the scoring summary. I mentioned it was an awful start. In the first quarter, it looked like this was going to end up being a blowout loss. And not that I feel any better about a 6-point loss necessarily to a not-so-good New England team, but it felt like this was going to be a blowout. New England, barely any resistance from the Dolphins defense, scored on their opening drive. A 10-play, 68-yard touchdown drive made it 6-0. Now, I mentioned couple missed extra points by Andy Borregales, who hit a 53-yarder later in the game, but he missed 2 extra points in this one. So 6-0 after the Patriots opening drive. Dolphins went 3 and out on their first drive, completely lifeless on offense. Patriots again score on their second possession, 11 plays, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Another missed extra point made it 12-0. And the first quarter didn't do anything for these Miami Dolphins. In the second quarter, though, Dolphins woke up. An 8-play, 83-yard offensive drive that was capped off by an 18-yard touchdown pass, Tua Tagovailoa to Jalen Waddle. You start to see Tua and Waddle connecting a little bit. That made it 12-7 because the Dolphins actually made their extra point. New England would add a field goal off a 15-play, 71-yard drive to make it 15-7. Miami Dolphins would then get within 2 points, actually within 1 point, because they would go for, or no, they would make their extra point again. Dolphins would have a 6-play, 77-yard drive. This one capped off by a Tua Tagovailoa 29-yard touchdown pass to Devon Achane, who had a pretty good game in this one. So that made it 15-14 at halftime. Dolphins were very much in this football game at that point. Dolphins would take their first lead of the game with a field goal, 7-play, 49-yard drive to go up 17-15. New England would then punt. Dolphins would add another field goal to make it 20-15. This is all in the third quarter. New England would retake the lead on a 5-play, 83-yard drive, 6-yard touchdown. Drake May rushed for 6 yards. Did get touched a little bit, but ended up scoring. So that made it 23-20 New England. Miami Dolphins would punt on their first possession of the fourth quarter. They would trade punts. New England would do the same. New England would score a touchdown to make it 30-27 on the kickoff return. I guess, hold on, we missed the Dolphins had the punt return touchdown first that made it 27-23 from Malik Washington. Very next play, New England returns the kickoff 90 yards for the TD. Tua would throw an interception on Miami's next drive. It would stay 30-27, but New England would turn that into a field goal, 53 yards, 33-27 Patriots, and then the Dolphins would end up turning the football over on downs. And what was the roller coaster of watching that final Dolphins drive, which ended in a Tua Tagovailoa sack on fourth down. The roller coaster of that was you thought for a hot second that Devon Achane had gotten into the end zone. He was celebrating, but he stepped out of bounds at, I think, the New England 27-yard line. So a lot to go over in this one, folks. And once again, and Miami, obviously, their vaunted defensive line played certainly better in this game than they did against Indianapolis, where they did, virtually nothing defensively in that game. Dolphins would have 3 sacks in this one. Jordan Brooks getting one of those, Bradley Chubb getting another one, and Chop Robinson. Chop Robinson on the play, not sure if it was the play where he got the sack or a later play, would leave the game injured. We'll try to find out more about his status later on today. You certainly don't want anything severe to be going on there. So the Dolphins did manage to produce 3 sacks in this one. But, not Drake May ended up having a good game. Let's take a look at the stat line for the offensive guys. May, 19 for 23, a really good percentage. 230 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for the New England starter. Tua Tagovailoa, 315 passing yards, 26 for 32, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. So Tua was sacked 5 times in this one. Dolphins sacked May 3 times. Tua was sacked 5 times. And it's not that surprising that the Dolphins offensive line would struggle, given they've got 2 backups protecting the blind side on the right. Tua being the left-handed quarterback, the right side is the blind side. And I want to read. I just opened up the comment section here.
It's on fire.
Boy.
It's on fire.
Oh, this is gonna be a long show. Oh man.
We open up the phone lines yet, or no? We wait for second segment.
Well, let me give out the number, and we'll open up the phone lines in the second segment. We're here for you. This is not. We grade this on the curve here, folks. For those of you who listened to our post-game coverage last week, this week wasn't quite as bad. Like, we're showing progress, right? Dolphins lost by 1 score. The defense played a little bit better. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill played a lot better than last week. Tua, I guess, played better than last week. It's hard to play any worse than he played last week. Devon Achane has actually been pretty good both weeks for the Dolphins, despite the 0-2 record. But it's still a loss. You're 0-2. You're 0-1 in the division, and you've got a short week going on the road to Buffalo. So it's not as bad as last Sunday. That's the good news. The bad news is it's another loss. This team still isn't as tough as the opposition. Surprise, surprise. And we'll open up the phone lines again on this episode at 305-567-0560. That's 305-567-0560 if you want to get in. Jack in the live chat says, rack it, Alex. We're going to rack them. That was an old Jim Rome thing? Welcome into the jungle.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, man. Let me read some of the comments are coming in fast and furious here. Not enough good against an equally crappy team. But the Dolphins lost the crap off today, or they won the crap off, because the Dolphins were worse than this alleged crappy New England team that you talk about here. Oh, man. I hate this team, Brandon says. Rome says, fire Greer, please. We're going to start wondering at what point firings might take place. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, Monday, tomorrow, because you've got a short week against Buffalo. I will say, Trevor, if what happens to Miami and Buffalo that I think might happen, then you got the long week after the Thursday night. That's a time when you could see some personnel changes happening. I'm not sure about the front office, but definitely in the coaching staff at that time, that's when you could start to see those things happen. David says, anyone who thought the Dolphins would win this doesn't know football. I wouldn't say I thought the Dolphins would win this. I thought maybe they could win this game. It's kind of where I was on this. All right, so we're opening up the phone lines at 305-567-0560. We're here on Gameday Uncensored Postgame Edition, which is brought to you by a number of... What's going on?
Man, this chat's going insane right now. So the Dolphins administration has been bad since the Nixon administration. Jeez, let's not go that far.
I mean, George W. Bush is the more realistic administration, you would say, because things they were, I guess you could say things kind of started to go south in the later Clinton years. Late 90s started to go a little south. And then, all right, so Dolphins played okay on offense, someone says. 305-567-0560. Gameday Uncensored Postgame is brought to you by a number of awesome folks out there, including the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. We're brought to you by Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Shop over 22 acres of Cadillacs built for luxury and performance at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac. Start your game-winning drive today at Edmore Sawgrass Cadillac, EdmoreSawgrassCadillac.com, and brought to you by JM Lexus. JM Lexus has the best team in the business, a 4.8 Google rating with over 22,000 reviews and counting. JM Lexus, West Sample Road in Margate. Also, stay tuned. We're going to crown a player of the game in this one. Probably won't be a Dolphin. We'll crown an offensive player of the game. We'll have a drive of the game for you. You want to keep it locked right here. We're talking about it. Another loss. 33-27, the Miami Dolphins lose at home to the New England Patriots here on FM 104.3 WQAM.
QAM broadcasting live from the
Yet another game where Miami Dolphins not only got outplayed, but they got outcoached as well. Calling the plays for New England, Josh McDaniels, he and Mike Vrabel certainly outcoached McDaniel, was outcoached by McDaniels. I thought they did a good job calling a game to make their young quarterback Drake May comfortable, and they screened the Dolphins to death. And I know at times we've all been in the spot where your favorite football team calls too many screens, and you're like, those screens never work. For New England, they were all working. You call a screen on fourth or third and 10, you pick up 15 yards. It was just that kind of night for New England. But it didn't happen by accident. I just thought the Dolphins were woefully unprepared. One area where both teams were not very good was penalties. This was a sloppy game at times. Like I don't think anyone came away from this game and said this was just an excellent display of football. A lot of penalties on both sides, special teams touchdowns on both sides, which is often a reflection of the coverage and not just the brilliance of the return man. New England committed, let me see, the Patriots committed 12 penalties for 75 yards. Dolphins committed 10 for 65. That's bad on both sides. In fact, there were moments in that game where it's like, New England was trying to sort of let the Dolphins back into it with all the penalties that they were committing. Let's go to the phones. We're going to talk with Bay Area in California. We got angry Dolphin fans all over the nation, coast to coast. Let's go to Neil in CA. What's going on, Neil?
So not only do I live in California, but I actually have season tickets for the Dolphins, which is like I just put the rest of them up for sale because I'm not coming this year.
Yeah.
This is sick. This is sickening. That's my word for today. But A-Chain steps out of bounds. Otherwise, we have a chance. And even when he stepped out of bounds, I'm thinking it's too much time. They're going to go down and get a field goal by a kicker that can barely kick, but he's good in that stadium. It's just sickening. I like this whole off-season, preseason, regular season thing that this product they put together is just sickening. It's McDaniels needs to go. The whole management staff just needs to go. This has just been a joke, and the fans deserve better than this.
I agree with that. And Neil, thank you for supporting. I even though you're not going to make it down for any of your season tickets, I don't blame you. Thank you for supporting this team from all the way out in the Bay Area.
It's been tough, man. I grew up a Bob Greasy fan, 1972, my first year, and where have we been? We are terrible this year. This is just sickening.
I think that's the word of the day. Neil, thank you so much. And
Appreciate
at least, I guess I'll take my youth because I'm obviously younger than Neil. But at least, like he mentioned, 72, Bob Greasy, he became a fan. I wasn't born till 84. At least Neil got to see a couple Super Bowls. Now, there are probably some of you,
and a perfect season,
in a perfect season. I almost saw the opposite of that when the Dolphins went 1-15 in 2007. I almost got like the mirror of the perfect season. We have had teams go 0-16 since that happened. And there are probably some of you listening to this right now, and let me know if you're young enough that you haven't seen a playoff win. Miami Dolphins do have the longest playoff victory drought in the entire National Football League. Late December 2000 was the last time the Dolphins won a postseason game. That was at home against the Indianapolis Colts. Lamar Smith went off. It's I remember it like it was yesterday because when you're a Miami Dolphin fan, you don't have a whole lot of memories like that to hold on to for the last 25 years. There's probably some of you. And I agree with Heat Cult says in the live chat, we'll be interested in hearing Tyreek's comments in the press. I would imagine he's going to speak today. Let's see if he's the leader he claims he's become. We call him the undercover captain because he's not a captain this year. He's like, apparently that's the way he wants it. He wants to lead undercover this year. I did see him look pretty frustrated near the end of the game when Tua overthrew him, which in the moment, I get it. Like, I'm not going to say, oh, that's why he's a bad teammate. Did you see Arch Manning's teammates yesterday when he's overthrowing guys left and right? Like they were looking pretty frustrated. You got a little bit of that with Tua today and with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek also had some catches in this one. So did Jalen Waddle. Miami Dolphins lose 33-27 at home against the New England Patriots. You're talking about you're at home under that September sun, and it was blazing hot down there. And they do that thing where the opposing team, and the Dolphins usually wear white at home, so New England's wearing their navy blues, and their bench is in the sun. Miami's is in the shade. They're not used to this sort of humidity this time of year coming from the Boston area. They're out there sweating it out. These are the types of games you go back to, and you don't even have to go back 25 plus years. You go back 5, 6, 10 years ago. Miami Dolphins aren't losing games like this at home, not against a very pedestrian opponent. This is not Bill Belichick's New England. Tommy Brady's not running through that tunnel, although Drake May was pretty good today. These are the types of 1 p.m. home games in September in division that the Miami Dolphins just did not used to lose. And here we are, 1.5-point favorites in this game. And what happens out there. And the Dolphins had a shot. Final drive for everything. Potential game-winning drive. You thought Devon Achane got in, but he had stepped out of bounds at the 27. And then after that, you had a couple of penalties, forced the Dolphins back to a 1st and 20. Penalties bit both of these teams in the behind, especially your Miami Dolphins. New England pass rush against Miami's very suspect and injured offensive line, able to pin their ears back and take Tua down. And how should I feel about this team right now? How do you guys feel about this Miami Dolphins team right now is the question I will throw to you, because this entire organizational structure right now, Chris Grier, general manager, Mike McDaniel, head coach, all of his assistants, I believe the structure as it stands right now is on borrowed time. It's only a matter of time. I cannot see this team turning it around to a point where they're a legit playoff contender. I can't see it. If you can't win a game like this at home against New England, I can't see this Miami Dolphin team doing anything this year that's going to resemble a playoff run or sniffing the division. Congratulations. It's week 2. Buffalo Bills have won the AFC East. Congratulations to you. And if not the Bills, it's not going to be Miami. Maybe it's going to be the Patriots. Probably not the Jets.
Patriots are going to finish second, like I said. So,
I mean, we got more second place right now, right?
We got more callers. I got Will from Brown. How you ready to go? Want to go to Will?
Yeah, let's go to Will. What's going on, Will? You happy?
No, I'm not happy, man. I don't know about Tua and what he's seeing out there in the throw, but I got to get a blame to a lot of that Dolphins defense, man. But they can't stop flies from flying on crap, man. I don't know what's going on with that team, man. I wasn't on them the bandwagon for getting rid of everybody, but man, we might as well just wash up this year because they're gonna lose Thursday night against Buffalo. I don't see no defense stopping nobody out there. Yeah. I'm just tired.
Tired is a good way to describe it, Will. And I'm the people that I feel the worst for today. I don't know if you fall into this category. I don't, of course, but anyone who is, because I have a few friends who fall into this category, who are Florida Gator fans and Miami Dolphin fans. These past 2 weekends have been hell. I don't know if you fall into that. Hopefully, Will, you're a Canes fan like I am.
Yes, I am.
So at least we got something to smile about. All right, Will, I appreciate the phone call. So tired was another good word. I mean, what was the word that Neil used was sickening. I am sickened, and I am also tired because I don't enjoy this. And I'm a Miami Dolphin fan my entire life. I grew up on Dan Marino, and then even post Marino, right after Marino retired, Dolphins had a really good defense for a long time that Jimmy Johnson had built. I had the privilege of watching Jason Taylor, his entire Hall of Fame career at Miami. Zach Thomas, I had the privilege of watching his Hall of Fame career. In high school in college, watching Sam Madison and Patrick Surtain and Brock Marion. I've seen a lot in my life, even without having seen the Super Bowl. And now it's to the point where you watch an NFL Sunday. Obviously Indianapolis was a lot worse last week. This was still bad. But you're watching an NFL Sunday. You watch Miami Dolphins football, and then you watch some of these other teams, and you're like, wait, is this the same sport? Is this the same level? Like, you feel like you're watching an FCS game when you're watching the Miami Dolphins, and then you're watching Power 4 when you're watching anybody else. Who should we go to next, Trevor? I see the lines are completely jammed.
Let's go to line 7, Eric. Sam from Palm Beach. He's coming back from the game right now. Sam, how you doing?
Hello?
Hey,
You're
Sam.
on.
Hey, man, listen, Dolphins, man, we can't get plays in on time. Like, what's going on with that, man? Like,
Coaching.
2 on the last drive. Yeah, like, last drive we're on the field. We're not getting plays in on time. Like, how's McDaniel not doing that? And then on top of that, you have a timeout. Like, the management on the field is horrible. Horrible, man. 2 need to go. Dolphins suck. Pack it up for next year. Greer got to go, too. The whole administration got to go, man.
Yeah, no, you're right. The Mike McDaniel experiment, it's over. Like, it's got to be over. The Dolphins always do this thing, or they've done this thing recently anyway, where it doesn't work out with one head coach. You fire a head coach for whatever reason. I mean, Brian Flores got fired for apparently being too strict and being unpleasant around the facilities. They had to fire him. And then the Dolphins do this thing where you fire somebody of a certain personality type, and then you knee-jerk all the way in the entire direction. Like, okay, Flo, he did get some good results here, but it's too unpleasant, so we had to fire him. And now we're going to bring in the most pleasant guy possible and the farthest thing from the stereotypical football coach, right? I mean, if you were to ask Google AI or whoever, what is the opposite of Dan Campbell, a picture of Mike McDaniel were to pop up, or even the opposite of Flo, a picture of Mike McDaniel would pop up. And listen, I get it. They gave an opportunity to a guy who, is genuinely nice to be around. I'll give him that. And, has a good history as an assistant coach, play design, run game coordinator. They called him McGenius. You give him an opportunity to be a head coach. But I think that experiment of giving the anti-football coach an opportunity to be your head coach for 4 years, I think that experiment has run its course. Now, absolutely, the Chris Grier experiment has run its course. He's been with the organization 25 years. He's been the general manager for almost the past decade. How many times do you give the same GM an opportunity to hire a new head coach, to draft a new quarterback? At a certain point, you have to understand the general manager is part of the problem, if not the biggest part of the problem. Like, you can't let Chris Grier hire another head coach and draft another quarterback after he's already failed with multiple head coaching hires at this point. And, with the drafting of, and listen, man, this is not working with Tua either. It's his 6th year in the league. I understand there's a certain amount of grace you give. Second, third year is usually when a good quarterback is really going to break out and create the sustained success. 4th year, if it doesn't happen in the 3rd year. And listen, I know, like, Tua has given us enough at times. 2 seasons ago, it's fantastic, right? The Dolphins were the greatest show on natural turf 2 years ago, and they had that 70-point output against Denver, and the offense, when it was clicking, could not be stopped. And that year, Tua got through an entire 17-game season completely healthy. So, okay, you thought now, that was his 4th year in the league. Now we've got our guy. Now our franchise quarterback has arrived. But you've seen regression, not progression, the last 2 years. Last year was not a good one for Tua, and the injury bug, and the team missed the playoffs. And now you're already on track to be making Cancun reservations come early January. You would imagine, based on the way this season has started, that the Dolphins are going to be in position to draft a quarterback very early. And one of the things that's a little bit frustrating to me, though, is that it's early in the college season as well. I don't feel like this is going to be the greatest quarterback year even. I would think either Drew Aller or Garrett Nussmeier would probably be the first quarterback taken in the draft. I'm not sure if either of those are like surefire franchise quarterbacks. Aller's got all the measurables and the size. I worry a little bit about maybe it's James Franklin's fault, but he seems to wilt in the big games. That seems to be a Drew Aller narrative to this point. So I don't know if that's the guy you want to stake your franchise's future in. Garrett Nussmeier, I'm not completely sold on either. I mean, I'd love to give Carson Beck an opportunity. We'll see how that plays out the rest of the year. He's off to a fantastic start in Miami, but I don't know if this is the best quarterback year either. Maybe you'll draft Ruben Bain. I guess you can never have too many pass rushers, but that's not an area that the Dolphins have a big need for anyway. So this may not even be the best year to draft a franchise quarterback. But we'll take more of you guys' phone calls on the other side. We'll wrap up the 4:00 hour. If you want to get in, 305-567-0560. That's 305-567-0560. Now, Trevor, are we at some point we're going to probably be able to roll and air McDaniel and whichever players speak?
I will find a way to get those. Don't worry. But we do have some other interviews we can play as well from Vlad, who was in the locker room. So
beautiful.
We got some interviews. So
I just want to know if Omar got to talk to Tua again.
Ooh, good question.
I mean, Tua was dismissive with Omar last week after a blowout loss, and now Tua has another not very good game, and the Dolphins lose again. I want to hear if Omar asks a few questions to Tua. We'll wrap up the 4:00 hour when we come back. Alex Donno with you on Gameday Uncensored post-game edition here on FM 104.3 WQAM.
Brian Radke here from Sunday Night Football on Westwood One. Mike Gold.
Now, let's get back to the Game Day Uncensored postgame show on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami's sports leader.
Well, certainly keeping our opinions uncensored on this Game Day Uncensored, as I would expect. This is certainly the final season of this particular coaching staff, unless they dramatically turn it around. And if they're able to dramatically turn it around, you got an opportunity this Thursday. And folks, the team that plays Thursday night football that has to travel on that short week, Thursday night football, huge advantage to the home teams. Not as if the Bills will need too many advantages against the Dolphins regardless, but this Thursday, it could get really, really bad for Miami up there, because if you see the way this Dolphins defense has played, and, you know, they produced 3 sacks today. Outside of that, getting shredded, couldn't stop a screen, couldn't stop a run, couldn't stop a nosebleed. What's going to happen with Josh Allen, James Cook, and that Buffalo offense at home off a short week for the Miami Dolphins? You're going to have like 3 players-only meetings between now and Thursday just to have a chance to keep the game within 20. Like, Dolphins had that players-only meeting at some point last week. Yeah, a number of people chimed in on this in the media, and they're not wrong. When you're having a players-only meeting, that never happens for good reasons, and it's usually a sign that things are going to continue coming off the rails. And when you're having a players-only meeting after week 1, it's hard to be in a worse state than that. Trevor, let's go back to the phones. I know that they're loaded up. I'm looking like you
want to go to Pandera, Texas?
Sure, a Dolphin fan in Texas. I'll feel your pain from over here in SoFlo. How you doing?
Oh, not too good. You know, I dumped my tickets, season tickets last year, and it just continues to become a bigger and bigger dumpster fire. And it's frustrating because I see everyone just paying all this amount of money, not to mention the overpriced concessions. And I used to fly to the games, and then I just said, I'm done. And you know what? I think Tua is Jameis Winston 2.0. You'll get the 300 yards, but then you'll get 1, 2, 3, 4 interceptions. It is sad they gave him all that money. And I think, you know what? Yeah, the quarterback class of next year, so what? The march for Arch begins now. You get Gruden in.
Have you been watching Arch? Hold on. Are you aware of what Arch Manning has actually been doing when he plays?
You know what? Yes, I have. But you know what? Have you seen what Tua's been doing? And you know what?
Yeah, but I still feel like we can do better.
Okay. All right. We can do better. All right, that's fine. But I'd rather get a name than
sure.
than what else is out there. The other 2 guys that you mentioned, I just like, was who? But you know what? But here's the problem: Greer isn't going to go anywhere because he knows where the bodies are buried. So that's where the problem is. And I just feel bad, and it's frustrating. And man, my buddies were at the game today, and once again, 0-2. And then look what happened. Let's just say Achane would have run that in for a touchdown. Okay, they left a minute left on the clock.
Yeah, they would have still lost probably. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's just who's driving the bus here? And it's no one. And I feel bad. And I thank you for taking the call. And you know what? Let's see. Hope for better days.
I hope so too. I appreciate it. There was a lot about that call I liked, but when maybe he's a Longhorn. Well, actually, he's probably not a Longhorn fan if he dropped in March for Arch in there. That was the one part where you lost me a little bit because
don't worry.
The problem is like there's nothing that rhymes with Aller. I mean, I can't come up with anything. Or Drew, you could use Drew, his first name. You know, screw up for Drew, boo for Drew, lose for Drew. I'll get better at this. Beck, is there something we could do for Beck?
We'll workshop it. How about that? We'll workshop.
Yeah, we got to workshop this because I'm drowning out here trying to come up. But March for Arch ain't it? Like I'm not.
No. That sounds like something from an A&M fan would create, anyways. Let's be honest here.
If you thought Tua was bad today, go put up the tape of Arch against UTEP at home yesterday. I mean, maybe the young man gets a little more seasoning. He could turn into something, but I would rather suit up Uncle Peyton tomorrow or Thursday night than suit up young Arch next year is where I'm at on that.
Do you want to go to Rodman, and who's just leaving the game, by the way?
That's the perfect person to talk to. Rodman, I'm so sorry you had to witness that in person.
Hey, you guys here?
Yeah, sorry, you're breaking up. I think we gotta cut you loose. It's that they're probably it's the big Dolphins lobby. Like they've knocked down the cell towers near the stadium so that we can't get the truth about what they just saw at Hard Rock today. That was not good. Oh man, we're getting again in the chat. Dolphin fans want John Gruden to be the next head coach. Okay, so I don't know if the game maybe has passed Gruden by. I'm not a big fan of these retreads, but here's the other part of it though, Trevor.
Holla at me.
I'll holla at you because I would probably I'm not as bullish as on John Gruden as a lot of you seem to be. Okay? I'm not. However, if the alternative is do what the Dolphins have done the last how many times they've needed a head coach? They hire Mike McDaniel, 0 head coaching experience. Brian Flores, 0 head coaching experience. Adam Gase, Joe Philbin, Tony Sparano. You know, before that, you had Nick Saban, who college
you
coaching
forgot
experience.
Cam Cameron, too, also.
He's very forgettable. He won one game here. But thank you for another one with no head coaching experience. So I'd rather have Gruden than try to find the next hotshot coordinator because the Dolphins have failed at that so many times.
It was the 2 other people who was in that hiring cycle. It was Doug Peterson and Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn didn't take a job. Doug Peterson took the Jacksonville job. I was like, just take the retread. The Dolphins done the same thing with the same new style, like first time head coach. It has never worked anyway.
It's never worked for them. I mean, maybe it's worked for some teams. It's never worked for us. Okay, so maybe I'll say this. If you have a different general manager making the pick, maybe it's not worked out for the one that we've had for the last 10 years. But by the way, is this really getting like legitimate traction, or have Gator fans just lost their mind with every interception DJ Lagway threw? They lost like 20 IQ points every time, which means you lost 100 IQ points last night. Because I'm seeing a bunch of people like Gator fans on social media starting this John Gruden hype train. Like, is that actually a thing that they think?
I've heard some stuff from that as well. Someone showed me some audio from another station who's been saying like a Gator insider and stuff have been saying it to a guy in Jacksonville.
Are they the same Gator insiders who said that DJ Lagway is going to have more success than Tim Tebow, or the same Gator insiders that said for sure, like a year ago, for sure it's going to happen this morning that Billy Napier is going to get fired, and it didn't happen? Like, I don't trust these college insiders, man.
How do you think I feel half the time anyway?
Yeah. Somebody said that was uncalled for. What was it? Was it the crack about you losing 20 IQ points every time Lagway? I mean, listen, Big, I'm assuming you had like a 300 IQ to start. So you're still smarter than all of us, even after the 100 IQ points that you lost every time DJ Lagway threw an interception. And listen, I don't want to talk too much trash because, my Canes are going to be hosting the Gators, and I don't want to put too much tape out there in case things don't go my way. And Blue Jays Toronto says, I don't want Gruden. He's overrated. I feel like he is. But again, I'd rather have him than I'd rather have a retread who's been a head coach than trying to find the next hotshot coordinator. Someone says it's about to get so ugly starting tomorrow. Well, I've taken a look at the Dolphins schedule. I've crunched the numbers. I've done the math here. I'll tell you the most likely time. I think there's 2 opportunities to make a coaching change. You want to keep it right here. We'll open up the 5 o'clock hour officially when we come back on FM 104.3 WQAM.
Every Miami Hurricanes football game can be heard
Real opinions for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami sports leader.
Welcome into the 5 o'clock hour here on Gameday Uncensored Postgame Edition. It's another Miami Dolphins loss. I'm willing to be open to the possibility that this might be my fault, that it might not be Chris Greer's fault or Stephen Ross's fault or Mike McDaniel or Tua. Maybe it's my fault because I'm filling in for Dan Day. Dan goes to the beat of his own drum. Not too many Dolphins post-game hosts would take the first 2 weeks of the season off, but he may be onto something with his strategy. Dan Day is going to be back in the seat that I'm sitting in on Thursday night. If the Dolphins, blow out the Bills 45-10, you're going to know that that's the Dan Day effect. This may be my fault. By the way, Barry Jackson from the Miami Herald, he's on another heater this week. Remember, he had some pretty scathing stuff to say about the loss in Indianapolis last week, and I was pumping my fist in support for Barry. Barry has an interesting stat here. So the Dolphins, according to Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald, they fall to 6-10 in their last 16 games of the Mike McDaniel, Tua Tagovailoa era, in the games where Tua is healthy. So in the last 16 games of Tua and McDaniel together, the Dolphins are 6-10. It's pretty bad. Barry points out no playoff wins in nearly a quarter century, and we've gone from talking about tardiness to meetings last year to operational issues this year. No way to run a team or a popsicle stand. So that's where we're at right now, folks. We have Tua Tagovailoa, who spoke after the game. And I want to hear what Tua has to say, because he's looked cooked these first couple of games. I know Tua loves this team. I know he wants nothing more than to win. This is a guy who came from a winning culture with the Alabama Crimson Tide. You remember the first action he got at Bama. They benched Jalen Hurts at halftime. Tua goes out there, throws that game-winning touchdown to Devontae Smith, and you thought the rest of my life, all I'm going to do is win, until he became a Miami Dolphin, which is what kind of killed that career arc for Tua. But Tua has been part of the problem. He hasn't been the entire problem, but he's not been part of the solution either. Here is Tua Tagovailoa addressing the media after the game.
You're trying to get the plays going. How kind of the process of that?
Well, we have until the 15 second mark until it cuts off with the communication with Mike. So depending on what the personnel is, depending on what we were trying to do there, if it was a wristband call or if it was a call it in the headset, there's a lot of things in that sense that play a role in if we're getting to the right things or if we're not getting to the right things. So that was sort of the mix-up of communication there.
Those two plays post-snap, can you take us through what you saw of both the interception and the sack?
Yeah, the interception was just trying to make a play, fourth down. And then the sack, just trying to step up and try to maneuver through the pocket. Maybe we got something, and was going to try to give one of the guys a chance.
Did you think Achane had won it?
Well, I seen the ref. He started doing that while Achane was in the end zone. So that would have been cool, but still, when we have that opportunity to go down there and score, we got to come up with that.
On a short week, how do you balance physical urgency to prepare for the team that knows how to win the division?
Well, you got to learn from this game. You got to move on from it quick, and that's what that is. You go in tomorrow, you watch it with the guys, you watch it with the coaches, get a gist of what the game plan is going to look like going into Thursday, and then throughout all of that, right, tonight, tomorrow, that's when you sort of have your recovery as well.
So it looked like we saw a quicker trigger from you to push that ball downfield to Jalen, to Tyreek. What switch flipped for you this week from last week to trust that pass even more?
I think, having some talks with Reek and whatnot, that if I do, just don't think that I'm going to throw it 80 yards. Like, as you're running, just do your best to track it, because you could potentially stop. That's what ended up happening on that play for Reek. And then with him and Waddle with those deeper outbreaking routes, just trying to help them get open while maneuvering, the corner in the flat.
You mentioned that the players meeting last week. Did you address things today despite the loss that you had talked about in the players meeting?
We didn't address any of that. We came together, and then Waddle had something to say to the guys, and I thought it was really good. And just things like that. We just can't have any of this. 0-2. We're not saying this is the end of the season, but I think for me and Waddle in the league, I don't think we've started a season 0-2. So just trying to maneuver through that. And then with our guys as well, it's a new team, right? New guys, and we got to keep going, man.
So there's 15 games left, obviously. I mean, your brain tells you that the whole season almost is still in front of you guys. But like you said, it is 0-2. And history says that's a pretty scary record. What the odds are going forward. Just what is the level of concern right now?
Well, I wouldn't say there's alerts going on right now with, man, the season's over. I think the alerts are more on, like, dude, what are we doing that we've done all these other years to start fast, to help us get to where we want to go, to where we want to have those explosives, the pre-snap communication, the timing, the operation, all of that. Like, I think that's where the alert is more a concern, is trying to find that urgency back for our offense and then for our team as well.
Fans are booing during this game. A group of fans flew a banner saying "Fire career McDaniel." What are you thinking as you're seeing all this?
I didn't see any of that, but did hear the boos. It's a part of the game. The fans pay money, their hard-earned money, to come and see their team play, and we go out there and we don't look the part as we have previous years. And so it's all understandable, and it comes with the game. You get the boos, you get the cheers. It's like anything else. You get the highs, you get the lows. But for us mentally as players, like, we got to stay even keel. We got to stay together. We got to continue to trust one another and build off of whatever this game was.
So you had a different look on the right side of your offensive line. How did you feel about the performance of Larry and Keon?
I think they did a great job for what we asked of them to do in this game. There's a lot of the situations that could have been avoided with our operational deals that we had, but I think they did a great job for the most part.
So what's your confidence level in getting all of this operational stuff situated?
I'm gonna go have a conversation with Mike. I'm gonna go have a conversation with Bev, with our offensive guys, and talk about it, because what we put out there, that was unsat. Like, anyone who knows football and anyone who doesn't know football just knows, like, that was not clean and that was not right with what we were doing in the end of the game. So we'll get that fixed, communicate that to those guys, and we'll move forward from there.
With the short week, especially after a loss like this, is it almost a relief to be able to get back on the field faster and put this behind you quicker?
I think there's always a sigh of relief when you get to touch the field again and you get the opportunity to, put the last game to bed. That's sort of the feeling that we had with the Indy game. And then now, it was in hopes of getting a win this week. And so, can't have what you feel didn't earn. I didn't feel we earned this win. And so that's what it was. And so we have that opportunity to play on Thursday.
Do you feel like next week Thursday going into the game, you guys will be heavy underdogs? Do you feel like you guys will be able to play a lot loosely with nothing to lose?
Well, I wouldn't say we'll go out there and play loosely. We want to go out there and we want to play football the way football should be played, with the right fundamentals, the right techniques for us, offense, defense, special teams. We want to play sound football. We don't want to just go out there and just let loose, thinking this is just another game. Like, I believe every game is its own season, and this game on Thursday is its own season for us.
Last question.
Tua, I have the weird thing with Mike Vrabel. You know that just no 0-3, but first loss to the Patriots. Any weird kind of thing with that?
Nah. This is the NFL, right? You win, you lose. And this was a loss. That's all that was. You know, I don't look at it as whatever the record was against the Patriots and then what it is now. You know, that's part of the league. If you don't come prepared against really good teams, that's what you should expect.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the first thing that stands out about that post-game interview is that, and we're only listening to the audio here, but Trevor, it's one of those things where you can tell he's smiling. Like you can hear when someone talks and they're smiling, you can hear that. And I know Tua is a super friendly, positive guy, but I think I speak for 90% of Dolphin fans where you want a little more edge after what just happened and what after happened the last couple of weeks. Like it's not like I appreciate Tua doing the interview session, right? Because there have been times everyone remembers, like when Cam Newton lost the Super Bowl, he punked the interview. He didn't do the interview session. People thought it was unprofessional. Like I appreciate the fact that good, bad, or ugly, Tua goes out there. So it is part of his job. It's in their contracts. Talk to the media. But I wanted to hear a little bit more edge, a little more anger, a little more urgency. Like, you don't need to be smiling when you talk about, oh, yeah, and we're going to Buffalo this week to play the Bills and have a great time. I will say that part of it that I appreciated from his that was about 7.5 minutes there we heard from Tua. I do like the way he addressed the question about the booze. Fans pay a lot of money for those tickets, and if what they're seeing is bad football, I believe it's never a good look when the home fans are booing you, but you get what you deserve based on the play on the field. And for Tua to address that and say, hey, these thousands of people who pay all this money for tickets, you have the right to voice your opinion when I'm or anybody on our team isn't doing well. I appreciated that part of his answer. I didn't feel like we got a whole lot of substantive stuff out of that. And also, I noticed, Trevor, we didn't get an Omar Kelly question in there, did we? Was he?
No, I did
was he
not
blackballed?
That's my question now. I think we're gonna find Omar Kelly and ask him what happened. Like, are you banned now? Like, come on.
Be like Omar. Now, Omar would probably be smiling when he asked the question. So, tell me about these turnover. You only actually had one turnover today. Had another interception that didn't count because there was a flag on New England, so he got bailed out one time. But oh man, Rome says nobody deserves this bleep after paying for Kobe beef. That's what you got. You paid for Kobe beef. You got you got a lump of coal. I'll censor it that way. So yeah, we're going to hear later on. I know Trevor was rolling on Mike McDaniel. We're going to hear from the head coach. Has Tyreek Hill spoken, or will he?
Oh, he spoke.
Oh, is it eventful?
I have not listened yet. I got to get McDaniel and I got to get Tyreek Hill. So don't get it's a lot of work over. It's one man show over here. So
hey, listen, man, I know you're working your butt off, Trevor. Trevor Harris is out there doing the Lord's work back in the studio to bring us all the content we need after yet another Miami Dolphins loss. 305-567-0560. We'll reopen the phone lines this hour as well. I mean, if anybody's on hold, stay on hold because we'll start taking calls again at 305-567-0560. New England Patriots beat the Miami Dolphins 33-27 at Hard Rock Stadium. We've got all of our uncensored takes on this on Gameday Uncensored post-game edition on FM 104.3 WQAM.
WQAM broadcasting
Now, let's get back to the Game Day Uncensored postgame show on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami's sports leader.
Dolphins had an opportunity for a game-winning or at least go-ahead drive with about a minute left. You thought you had a touchdown from Devon Achane. He was marked down or marked out of bounds at the 27-yard line. You had delay of game. Mike McDaniel couldn't get a play in time. You had another procedural penalty, pushed you back. Ultimately, Tua got sacked on fourth down. And the Dolphins lost to the New England Patriots 33-27 in a game where, the craziest sequence was within 12 seconds on the clock. Miami Dolphins, Malik Washington had a punt return 74 yards for a touchdown. And then on the next play, the ensuing kickoff, New England takes it 90 yards to answer and take the lead back. Sloppy, bad, inexcusable. The Dolphins are 0-2. We're going to hear from Mike McDaniel a little bit later on, but let's go to the phones now. Earlier, we tried to chat with our guy Rodman leaving the stadium. Of course, the Dolphins probably sabotaged the cell service around there, but he's in a better cell area now. So let's go into Rodman. What's going on, Rodman?
Hey, there you are. What's happening, guys?
I've been better, man. This is 2 weeks in a row. The Dolphins are trying to ruin my weekend.
Yeah, well, get comfortable because the Bills are coming up and nothing good's happening soon.
Sir, I might go to bed early that night. I mean, I might call it a night at halftime and then just wake up and find out how bad it was the next morning.
No. We're all gonna watch. It's the only Thursday game. Anyway, that I know. So, I'm gonna tell you my 2 cents. We've been season ticket holders for a long time. My son, I've been taking him since he's 4 or 5 years old. He's now 17, 18 now. He drives me.
Nice.
Man, it's been a constant sadness with the Dolphins. I thought that we had something going on with Tua, but then he gets injured, then again, over and over again. And now this year, I'm just realizing Tua is not the guy, man. Tua, he's not throwing. I was at the game. I'm like, why is he not throwing long passes? Like, why are we just throwing 5, 10 passes? Like, these short passes are like frustrating. Other teams throw long. Why can't we throw long? We have receivers. Why can't we just be one of those teams that throw and action make touchdowns? We celebrate.
I'll give you a couple reasons. One reason, he's not had enough time to throw. That's on the offensive line. But then also, I put some of it on Tua. I feel like, and you guys can tell me if you agree, there were obviously a couple of drives where the Dolphins offense was clicking today, but for the most part this season so far, watching 8 quarters of Dolphins football, Tua looks very much like he can sense the pass rush and panics a little bit, as if maybe he's afraid of the hits that are coming, which, for his injury history and having a makeshift offensive line, I guess you could understand. But a lot of times, I don't feel like Tua is willing and able to stand in the pocket and make some of these throws. I think that sometimes he panics a little bit and gets rid of the football because he's afraid of the hit that's coming.
I would agree with you, but I see the plays, and they're made for short pass. Like, I don't see nobody running deep. So if you don't see nobody running deep, how is that possible? Like, he just throws it really quick. Like, I don't know. I don't see any, like, Mike McDaniel. Okay, let's change the topic a little. But
okay,
did you you haven't talked about, or I haven't heard you say anything about the fans after the last loss with the Colts? The fans put a GoFund together, and we put a banner that says "Fired Greer, Fire McDaniel," and he flew over the Hard Rock Stadium.
Yeah, I heard about that. Did you see it? You're at the game.
I saw it. I took pictures. It's on my Instagram. Listen, I'm going to tell you this. I go to the Dolphins game to enjoy my tailgate. I keep upgrading my seats to better seats, but it's the tailgate what I go for. I don't enjoy the games as much as I enjoy the tailgates. So I might think, maybe for a lot of fans, and I believe that sports is like an addiction, that you feel the joy and then you feel the sadness. So if I'm losing, it's hurting me inside. So if I'm winning, I'm excited. So but at the tailgate, I'm at peace. I'm with my friends that become family, and every year that we see each other at the same spot in the same orange parking, and we cook, we throw the balls, we have fun. This part here of losing and seeing the piece of the puzzles that I just, man, as a fan, I gotta say, I'm not happy with the coach not being a real coach that. Look at.
Let me let you run. Let me let you run on. I'm sorry, Robin. I'm gonna let you run because we got others waiting. I feel like we're going in circles a little bit. But he mentioned the banners. For as unhappy as I am with the way this team is performing, I'm not a fan of the banner planes fire, whoever flying over the stadium. In this case, fire Greer, fire McDaniel is what the banner was saying. I just don't think that has any influence whatsoever over an owner, nor should it, because Stephen Ross should know.
Depends.
But isn't it like okay? The way that I look at it, Trevor, the product on the field is embarrassing enough. I don't also need a plane flying over my stadium calling for people's jobs. I think it's I can think of better ways to spend my money. Like you got people, donating this GoFundMe, like donate money to a good charity or something. Like,
do you know what
to
category
fly
you're-
a banner.
Do you know what category you guys are in since you guys did that?
What?
New York Jet fans. They do that stuff.
Right, and I don't like when they do it.
Jet fans do it. They did for John Idzik and Rex Ryan to get fired, by the way.
Yeah.
You're in New York Jet territory with this fans acting like this. I
Yeah.
expect better from you guys. And you guys pulled a Jets card. Unacceptable. I expected better from you, but I'm just.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't think it's a good look. I mean, the product on the field is embarrassing enough, and Stephen Ross should not need us to fly a banner. Like, do you think Stephen Ross looked up at that banner? He's like, man, I never thought of that. Maybe I should fire these guys. Thank you, airplane.
Let's go.
Can we take some more calls. And
Let's go to Atlanta.
Let's try to be a little quicker than the last one if we can.
All right, rapid fire. Line at
Rapid
9
fire.
Atlanta. James, how we doing?
All right. Well, born and raised in South Florida, just happened to be living in Atlanta the past 4 years. But I totally agree with Donno on that. Like, what do we do? Like, yeah, Stephen Ross is going to look up and be like, oh, yeah, I'll totally do that. But I'm kind of with them at the same time. Like,
yeah,
dude, Greer's the longest tenured GM and has nothing to show for it. I mean, it seems like when good decisions are there to be made, he makes the opposite. But it's, what are we paying Jalen Waddle and Tyreek that much for? We don't have the amount of money that they've been earning to spend on those two positions. And they keep loading up on positions that we're deeper in. Like, you totally whiffed on offensive line, totally whiffed on quarterbacks. Like, why are we loading up in a position that we're already kind of deep in? It doesn't make sense. So I want to put this out there. What the heck? Let's tank for Beck.
Hey, there we go. We got a Carson Beck line. And you know what? I got to say about Carson, I know coming into the year, before the season started, would have been a hard swallow for anyone, to consider Carson Beck a first round or first overall, whatever draft pick. It's like, everyone was all down on last season at Georgia and everything. Beck looks like a new man out there. He's making every throw. He's been uber professional, processes games like an NFL quarterback, the way he goes through his his progressions during his possessions, I could say. He's off to a fantastic start at Miami. And, there have been some quarterbacks that you thought were going to be right up there. People were trying to give NFL buzz to Cade Klubnik. He might be playing himself into the CFL, the XFL, if that's still a thing. DJ Lagway, who I guess isn't even draft eligible this year, but it's not good his second year. Arch Manning will be draft eligible, but he probably won't be going to the NFL draft anytime soon the way he's played. He could do worse than Beck. Who do we got next on the phone, Trevor?
Ralph from North Carolina. Ralph, you're on Dolphins Gameday Uncensored.
Hey guys, how y'all doing today? I moved here in North Carolina a couple of years ago, so I have not been happy with our season, and I've been disappointed. But I want to go a different direction from all Dolphins fans. I really want to call out Anthony Weaver on this situation, because I feel like ever since last year, the defense has been taking majorly step back. It's like the defense has not been aggressive. The calls has not been aggressive on the defense. And I feel like that's where the defense is also a weak point in our problem right now, because if the offense got you the lead, you guys were supposed to play to stop them from scoring. It's the problem that we have with Dolphins. It's like the moment they start playing behind, that's when all the panic buttons are pressing, because right now we become a heavy throwing team. We're not rushing the ball, and that's always gonna be a problem. If the defense can't hold back, to be honest with you, so at least keep the game really close. It's always going to be a panic show all the time, because all the time they have to rush and do it. And the thing is, again, about the Dolphins, It's like they never fix the offensive line. The offensive line has always been a major issue. Since last year, it was a problem, and this year it's another problem. I knew it was going to be a problem. If we didn't fix the offensive line this year, our season is not going to go nowhere because the offensive line was the problem last year, and it is still the problem again going on this year. It has not been consistent. We cannot run the ball. We cannot be a heavy run team anymore. All we're doing is trying to throw the ball. We're never going to win a game if we keep throwing the ball. We got to start being a more heavy run team. And to be honest with you, Anthony Weaver, if this is going to be the person that replace McDaniel if he gets fired, no, I don't want him because he's not doing a good job with the defense himself right now. And right now, that's where the problem relies, the defense and the offensive line. Those two areas are the biggest problem with the Dolphins having. The thing is, McDaniel needs to put that clip down. You need to have somebody else calling the plays because at the end of the day, you're not doing a good job calling plays, and you need somebody else that's more capable of calling plays, making better decisions than you, and that's the problem that you have as a coach. You can't be a coach if you want to sit down and call your own offensive play. You can see that a lot of offensive players and a lot of head coach are not great at basically calling the offensive play at the same time. They always have an offensive coordinator calling the plays. So that's where he needs to basically take a step back from there and basically put his head down and realize he needs to do that. And I could tell he's more aggressive. You need to stop being such a coward in front of the media. Be more aggressive. Show your other side because I want to see it. I could tell that you're angry. So stop trying to basically play it cool, man, because you can't be Mr. Cool Guy anymore.
And I thought that was a pretty good call. I know one of our live chat members said moronic call. I don't know. I agree. I mean, I will say one thing. You mentioned like Anthony Weaver replacing McDaniel. I mean, the situation would be if Mike McDaniel gets let go in season, Anthony Weaver would be the obvious choice to be interim head coach for the rest of the year. That just means the placeholder while you start your coaching search, while, you try to maybe salvage a new attitude and give a wake-up call to your players if the head coach gets fired. I wouldn't expect Anthony Weaver. He would get a formal interview and everything. I wouldn't expect him to become the permanent head coach of the Miami Dolphins, but that would be like the obvious choice if you were to go with an interim coach. So that's how that would look. And if you look at the schedule, there's really, two opportunities to make an in-season coaching change if it comes to that. And it might come to that. Dolphins have given up 33 points in each of their first two games, 33-8 loss at Indianapolis, 33-27 loss a couple of hours ago at Hard Rock Stadium. You've got a short week, so you're not firing anybody tomorrow. You play at Buffalo on Thursday, but then between Buffalo, you've got all the way until 2 Mondays later. What is that? An 11-day gap between Buffalo and home against New York, the Jets, on a Monday night, September 29th. So between September 18th and September 29th, that gives you a while. If you lose, blown out potentially by Buffalo this Thursday, maybe you make a coaching change the next morning or that night, and then you've got 10, 11 days to kind of get your interim thing rolling for the rest of the year. If you don't do it after the Buffalo game, the next opportunity you would have for an in-season coaching change would be the bye week, which doesn't happen until the weekend of Sunday, November 23rd.
The week after game after Spain. So
yeah, that's right. Yeah, so maybe McDaniel has to buy his own flight back from Spain. What is it? I think I'm flying a Spanish airline in the winter. It's supposed to be pretty nice. They got some good planes coming out of there.
I've never been to Spain, or Europe.
So. I've never been either, but I'm flying. Like I'm going back to December. I'm going back to Italy, and I think we're stopping in Madrid and then flying over to. So I'll give maybe I'll get some flight recommendations from Mike McDaniel after that. All right, so we're going to hear, by the way, from Coach McDaniel when we come back, who addressed the media after this tough Dolphins loss, 0-2 Miami Dolphins. You want to keep it right here. Game Day Uncensored Postgame Edition. I am Alex Donno. We got Trevor Harris in the studio doing an awesome job right here on FM 104.3 WQAM.
Hey, we want to hear what you have to say.
Now, let's get back to the Gameday Uncensored postgame show on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami's sports leader.
Welcome back into this episode of Gameday Uncensored postgame edition. Another Sunday, another Miami Dolphins loss, 33-27. Dolphins lose at home to the New England Patriots. Gameday Uncensored postgame is brought to you by the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event, brought to you by Ed Morse Sawgrass Cadillac, and brought to you by JM Lexus. JM Lexus has the best team in the business. All right, so by the way, Trevor got me really excited during the break because they sent me some errant X post that claimed the opening line for the Miami Hurricanes hosting the Florida Gators next Saturday. College Game Day is going to be there, by the way, and we're going to have the entire game broadcast pregame.
We broke, by the way, late last night. If you're listening to Miami,
Yeah, that's right.
We
were doing the post game last night, and we had the news live came out that College Game Day is going to be in Coral Gables. So Miami taking on the Gators, and obviously, Miami number 4, they move up a spot in the Associated Press. Gators are unranked. They lost to LSU after losing to USF. I still think Florida can be dangerous. Like I'm not going to be the Miami guy that's like, we're going to blow these guys out by 50. Hopefully, maybe, but no, I think, Florida has shot themselves in the foot so much. They have talent. And like, if Florida can actually have a game where they keep the turnovers down, they keep the penalties down, and Billy Napier like accidentally calls the right plays, then I think it can be a really close game. But somebody claimed to me that the opening line was Miami favored by just 3 points. So like I was going to jump all over that. But then I go to all the sports books, and no, it's like 8.5 points Miami is favored by, which is the number that I would expect. 8.5 is like right where I would put that. Now, enough about college football. We have an NFL team to talk about, and we have a head coach to hear from. So after this most recent Miami Dolphins loss a couple of hours ago, 33-27 to the New England Patriots, here is head coach Mike McDaniel afterwards.
Tyreek talked about the finals drive and the penalties, the miscommunication.
Yeah.
How much does that fall on you in communication with them or vice versa? What is that process like that led to that?
Yeah, I think that ultimately I look at absolutely everything falling on me. So I don't see, that's the responsibility of a head coach that you go into knowing that. That being said, I'm very frustrated with, collective, there's some basically coaches and players that did not execute communication in a very dire period of the game. With the game on the line, our communication and our substitution was not up to par, and ultimately that is my I hold all responsibility for all things. So I will make sure that things that should already be ironed out moving forward, we will not fall victim to the same thing again, as I have to ensure that with we'll put the appropriate emphasis on that, because it was not acceptable. We had the opportunity to win the game, and we robbed it from ourselves.
Specifically, the penultimate 4th down, was there a delay in deciding to go for it, getting the play call, breaking the
that's kind of where the frustration lies for me, is there was not it wasn't deciding that cost us, or a late play call, which that happens at times, but this was not one of those times. I got the play call in, but I need to do a better job supervising all of the orchestration within our multiple personnel groups. So to win games, you have to win the game, not lose the game, honestly. And that is how you lose the game. You're moving the ball down the field. You're 1st and 10, and then you find yourself at 2nd and 20. That was critical.
You guys try to
Listening to head
figure
coach
this
Mike
thing out. Do
McDaniel
you think
after the
that there's anything on the field that can anchor you? Pass rush, run defense, run game, anything like that?
Yeah, I think there was not turning the ball over and having a significant or I don't know what our yards per play was, but I think it was pretty good. Executing offensive football. We found a little bit of juice there. But that in this game, that same unit didn't come through, including myself down the stretch. So I think we just have to tighten up our football entirely. We can't, wait till the second half to get a stop. We can't have, a monumental special teams play negated by a monumental special teams. It's collective. So guys are very, very frustrated. However, I will say that what I told the team is it makes me even more venomous, I think, with the way that the team responded to a start that we absolutely did not want again. And having sat on the previous week's performance for an entire week, I did find out what type of team I'm coaching, because the weaker mind goes, here we go again, and that was not the case today. So all that being said, it's super frustrating because we had control of an ability to win the football game. We didn't. We came up short, and that is what it is. So fortunately, we have the bad taste in our mouth continues, but we get another opportunity to play Thursday night against an opponent that will not care about any of our hardships. So at least we get to try to get back out there and make some things right here in a couple days.
How do you prevent
We're listening to Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel,
especially on a short turnaround?
Oh, well, I think it's important that guys have perspective in the National Football League. And over the many years that I've been doing this, there is not a team that is the Super Bowl champion, the 1 seed, all the way through the 7th seed, does not happen in 2 weeks. So I think that's the biggest thing is, I think the perspective of the entirety of the season, and you want to see, I wanted to see the effort and mindset of the guys that I saw after getting hit in the mouth down 12-0. And now we have to do the little things to win football games, or we're going to lose them. And losing is not fun at all. Guys are tired of it. So I wouldn't see if I would have, there shouldn't be desperation week 2 after the first quarter. I felt good about the lack of desperation in our team, more focus on doing their jobs. And that's what it takes, because you have each week an opportunity to have collective job responsibilities executed so that you can go achieve a victory. And we're 0-2, but that is there's 2 teams that are 2-0. That generally there's a 2-0 team that doesn't make the playoffs, and generally there's teams that that's the way you have to look at it. It's a long season, so you have to continue to develop, and you can't fall victim to the same failures or or the season will end up not being the one you want. So we have some work to do. Short week against a division opponent. That last time we went up there, we fell short at the end of regulation. So we know that we have to exceed that performance, and that's what we'll be focused on.
All right, that's Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel. I like this message that came in from Savage Veteran, who says, "This is why it takes so long to get a play in." I think the last answer he had was like 6 minutes on the one question.
Felt like
little
more
word
like 10
salad,
minutes.
a little bit. Yeah,
10 minutes. I gotta cut that up later, so that'll be fun.
Good luck. We got some good news. Omar Kelly is going to join us when we come back. Miami Dolphins beat writer from the Miami Herald. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to ask Omar why was he barred from asking Tua any questions this time around? You want to keep it right here. Game Day Uncensored postgame continues on FM 104.3 WQAM.
This hurricane season, keep it on 104.3
in accident attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
The game is ended, and now we begin. It's Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition. Real talk, real reaction, real opinions for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami sports leader.
Welcome back into Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition. Alex Donno with you guys, and on the phone now. So happy to have our dude Omar Kelly on with us, columnist at the Miami Herald. Omar, Dolphins are 0-2 so far. Let's start with that final drive. Penalties. We thought we had a touchdown, but Achane had stepped out of bounds. Tua gets sacked on fourth down. A lot of sloppiness there, Omar. What did McDaniel, Tua, everybody you spoke to say about that?
Operation has to be cleaner. It really, the end of the game, the special team plays, it just shows you how fragile an NFL victory is. And it can, right when Malik Washington returned that punt for a touchdown, how many people thought the Dolphins were going to win? Then the Patriots returned their punt for a touchdown. Then the Dolphins get possession, and the defense stands, and Dolphins get possession and drive down the field, and Devon Achane puts a couple of toes out of bounds on a reception, and ultimately it ends up with a loss. Your weakest links, your weakest areas are always going to expose you who you are as a team. And unfortunately for Miami, their weaknesses are everywhere, and it's really compromised the quality of football that this team can play. I think the biggest drop off that I've seen, that's something that's puzzling, and I wrote about it in my Miami Herald column, is this defense doesn't have the same mojo as last year. Even though there are a lot of parts that are similar and a lot of improved pieces, from the edge rushers to safety Minka Fitzpatrick, you're just not able to get off the field on third downs, and you're not able to hold teams out of the end zone in the red zone. Those were the two strengths of last year's team. They were top 5 in both categories. And really, if you looked at it, that was the only justification why they had a top 5 defense last season. So here you go, better pass rushers, probably a better secondary, better safeties, not secondary. Let me correct myself.
Yeah.
But you do not have, you don't have what you need in terms of getting important, crucial stops.
How did you today grade Tua Tagovailoa?
It was okay. The one thing, and I'm a Tua fan. The one thing I'm kind of losing hope on is I keep waiting for that it factor we saw at Alabama to surface, and Tua put the team on his shoulders and elevate them beyond where they are as an organization, and it's just not happening. The low tide, it's kind of a low tide situation, and Tua's going to only be as good as the team that you put around him. And right now, I would make the argument, and I'm sure you would not fight me, that they don't have a very good team around him. I think this is more, not to say I'm making excuses for Mike and this coaching staff. This is more about the personnel than it is about the team, because I'm sorry, your offensive line gave up 5 sacks today. Is that a surprise to anybody who's followed this team? I'm sorry, but everybody and their mama can complete passes against this Dolphins secondary. Is that a surprise to anyone? You're back. You're not running the ball consistently. Why is that? This is a trend that seems to be continuing throughout the season. Okay, if Devon Achane is a wide receiver, let's call him that. Let's call him that and get a real tailback in the backfield. So I'm curious to see how they respond to this, how they move forward. Because Buffalo, I mean, they play in they still play in the NFL, but they're a completely different league.
I was saying that earlier. And especially last week, Omar, because obviously the Colts game was way even worse than this one. So I remember I watched the Dolphins versus Colts, which was like torture.
Yeah.
And then a few hours later, I'm watching the
Mm-hmm. Watch
Ravens and the
Buffalo
Bills, and
Ravens.
that was not the
Yeah.
same sport that I was watching
Yeah,
earlier
it
that
was
day.
not. It was not. I watched it. I had the same thing as you, and I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, Dolphins don't play the sport that they play.
Yeah. Well, okay, and I know that this is something that I was listening to some of the media sessions afterwards. I think David Furones was asking some of the players in McDaniel about this. Everyone knows about the banner plane that somebody paid for to fly over today, the Fire, Greer,
Yeah.
and McDaniel. But okay, so Omar, reality, like how close is that to actually happening? How hot are the seats right now for Mike McDaniel and for GM Chris Greer?
I don't necessarily know about Chris Greer because I think that there are extenuating circumstances and factors that could potentially be keeping him employed. I'll just leave that there. But
okay,
I would be shocked if Mike McDaniel is still the head coach if they begin an 0-4 season. That means lose to Buffalo on Thursday night, and then
Jets at home.
Jets at home. I'm sorry, you're not making it to October. You're 0-4, and I have a hard time. I think you'll survive Buffalo if you lose. I'm sorry, keep in mind for those who are beating the drum for Steve Ross to fire people. Reality, based on the way the season's going, that's inevitable. But keep in mind that Steve Ross has to put together a certain image for prospective suitors. He fired a coach after a winning record after 3 seasons last time, and it kind of blew up in his face like an exploding cigar. Do organizations, agents, if they have a choice, like let's say they had done it last year, do you think Mike Vrabel would have picked the Dolphins over the New England Patriots?
No.
Exactly. And let's just say for poops and giggles, the Kansas City Chiefs says, you know what, Andy Reid, you've lost 2 straight Super Bowls. We're going to part ways and start fresh with somebody else. Do you think having a quick trigger with your head coach and firing him after 3 games and one of which taking a loss to the Buffalo Bills, do you think that's going to impress Andy Reid and make him feel confidence about the ownership group and make him feel confidence about the patience that the owner has in the organization? Then also, the Chris Greer situation. Chris Greer is here. He's been here for quite a while. Chris Greer was here during the Brian Flores saga. Chris Greer knows where the bodies are buried.
Mm-hmm.
You might be moving him somewhere in the organization as opposed to removing him, and as opposed to firing him outright.
Okay, well, that definitely makes sense. Anything else, Omar? You mentioned, I want to revisit the defense. You talked about them not exhibiting the strengths that they exhibited a year ago. Talk to me a little bit more about what you specifically saw today, because I noticed New England had a lot of success on screens, like they were screening Miami to death at times.
I can honestly tell you, I have not reviewed the film, and I'm still in I'm on my way home now, and I'm in kind of a haze from just the nature. Like this is probably the organization's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
0-2 heading into Buffalo. So I can't really. The biggest thing about the defense, they say, is they got to do better on first and second downs. They got to do better at stopping the run. I'm particularly not very impressed with the defensive line play that I'm seeing so far. Clearly I expected what I expected from the secondary, but where's the pressure? Where's the sacks? I really didn't feel like Drake May was that harassed, and that's supposed to be the strength of who you are as a team. Getting off the field on third downs. They've had 2 third down stops all season. 2. Uno, dos. So everybody is perfect on 4th down conversions against Miami's defense. 4 for 4. I don't know how you say perfect in Spanish, but yeah, you get the point.
Maybe
perfecto, sir. Yeah,
I'll go with that.
It is. It's very humbling what I'm seeing. the one thing that I said, and I said this last week, right now, if you made the case and you made the argument that this team is checked out on Mike McDaniel, I would have no evidence to counter it as a lawyer. I'm not even sure I can do my deposition. I got nothing for you. You understand what I'm saying? If we're in the court of law,
I see it as well. Yeah.
Yeah. If we were in the court, even though I don't believe that, I mean, I got no evidence that proves I'm innocent.
Yeah, I mean, well, it does, and you're a lot closer to the team than I am. But it from the outside looking in, Omar, which is why I lean on your insight for stuff like this. This looks like a team that plays with no heart, no physicality. They look disorganized and disjointed. That's what it looks like from the outside.
Okay, and I will tell you from the inside, this is what I suspect is going on. This is a mentally soft team that's buckling to the pressure that they began the season with.
Well, so it sounds like we agree then. I thought you were going to argue with me, but you made my point.
It's a different variable, though.
Okay.
I don't know if they're not. Yeah, you collapse in the fourth quarter. I mean, but think about this. Think about the second quarter when they hurried up and scored. That was impressive. You can't do that without good coaching. And I'm not sitting here advocating for Mike McDaniel as a good coach or telling you, his greatest things in sliced bread. This offense, let's just be honest about it. This offense looks nothing like it looked in 2023. Why is that? Let's ask ourselves, why is that? A lot of the pieces are still the same, but, why does it look, why does the play action not work? Where's the RPO? Why has the big pass play been shut down with the exception of the one completion today? I am not of the opinion that teams have caught up to what Mike McDaniel's doing. Okay, maybe some of the motions, because there was a Malik Washington motion that was that play that was penalized. And could Tyreek have skirted that in 2023 and, had a little bit of a head start with a little CFL motion situation? Maybe. And maybe that's forced Miami to slow down on how they use that or what that is. But, man, this thing don't look the same. It don't.
No, you're spot on with that. I got, another kind of big picture question for you. Assuming and maybe there will be a dramatic turnaround. I want to be fair. Like maybe, we got, like you mentioned, there were a couple of drives where we got couple glimpses of the offense looking familiar. Other than that, like you said, it's not what it was in 2023. But what do you think the temperature is long-term on Tua, Omar? Do you think if things don't get dramatically better this year, do they turn the page on Tua next year? How do you think that goes?
Financially, you can't turn the page on Tua next year. I don't know the exact amount, but you're fully committed to him, and the money is guaranteed. Only thing that could probably stop you or allow you to escape it is if he suffered some tragic injury that's never going to let him play again. Then you can pull the whole injury. You can pull the whole injury insurance, deal. But I have a hard time believing that's going to happen. I do think Tua is a good quarterback. He's going through a very tough stretch. It would help if you put a better offensive line in front of him, or if he had access to a better offensive line. It'll help if he has access to a better running game. But we are where we are in terms of the roster that you built. Would they pull him at any point this season? Absolutely not, unless the game's out of hand. And that's with Mike, without Mike. Absolutely not, because he gives you your best chance to win games. But, has the offense regressed? Absolutely. Do I put all the blame on Tua? No, I don't. But he's, heavy as the head that wears a crown.
Well said. Omar Kelly, I appreciate your time. But by the way, we played, I thought you had a great question to Tua last week. I know he didn't seem to agree on the whole turnovers and bunches, but then you had the stats to back it up, and we talked about that. Were you barred from asking him a question today? I didn't hear you asking him a question.
I was in the locker room talking to the defense, but I'm kind of giving myself a timeout. Everybody thinks I'm being too harsh on, Tua and Tyreek, asking them tough questions, and that's pretty much the problem with this team. It's a little mentally soft, and you got. I'm sorry. You know me, Donno. I'm gonna ask what people are talking about.
And I love that about you.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to respond, and we're going to tell. And Tyreek said a lot without saying a lot, without saying anything. Tyreek said a lot, and they got their big play. But I think about it. When's the last time you seen him take a shot on a regular basis?
Rarely ever. And even like the shot he took today. I mean, Tyreek made a good play on the ball. I thought it was underthrown.
Yeah. I mean, balls get underthrown all the time. It's not Patrick Mahomes. I see those all the time from Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. It happens, but everybody's going to say, and that's the thing about it. It's open season on the Dolphins right now. And last week it was everybody in the nation was beating them down. This week, everybody's in the nation is going to beat them down heading into Buffalo. Everybody's going to be demanding that Mike McDaniel's fired after Buffalo. Oh, it is what it is. We are where we are. And the question is, how will you respond to that pressure and that adversity?
Well, I love the work you do. Omar Kelly, you want to follow him on X at Omar Kelly. Check out his work in the Miami Herald. He's a Miami Herald columnist. Also, frequent appearances here on WQAM. Omar, thank you so much for the awesome coverage and safe drive home.
All right, bro.
Good stuff there from Omar. And he dropped a little insight, I think, on the Chris Greer part of it. Now he mentioned Tyreek. Trevor, we got Tyreek Hill audio, so we're gonna play that when we come back after we anoint our drive of the game for this one. And I'm going to. I mean, you guys can boo me if you want. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins drive for the drive of the game. You want to keep it right here. We're covering this unfortunate Miami Dolphins loss 33-27 at home against the New England Patriots on FM 104.3 WQAM.
WQAM broadcasting live from the Ed.
The season based on what we is the U. Yes, Miami is 3 spots too low right now. I think Miami is the best team in college football after the third week of the season based on what we've seen in eye test. All right. The Hurricanes weren't even at A level against South Florida Saturday. Still scored 49 points. Carson Beck, another 300-yard, 3-touchdown game. Had a couple turnovers, but it didn't matter. Hurricanes beat a very good USF team by 5 touchdowns. So Miami, undoubtedly right now, is the best team in college football.
Yeah, I want you to apologize. What? Apologize. Apologize about a bunch of doctors and yeah, apologize to the football team. I don't even remember what I said. You know what?
Uncensored postgame show on FM 1043 WQAM, Miami's sports leader.
Welcome back into our Game Day Uncensored postgame edition coverage here on FM 1043 WQAM. Thanks again to Omar Kelly for joining us. We're going to hear from Tyreek Hill in a couple of minutes, what Reek had to say to the media after the Dolphins' 0-2 start. Miami fell to the New England Patriots 33-27 this afternoon, home opener at Hard Rock Stadium. Dolphins are 0-2, and I hope they prove us wrong. A lot of people are going to be assuming they're going to go 0-3. Short week. Dolphins head to Buffalo to play Thursday night football on the road later on. I don't know if we have like an opening line for that one. I'm sure, and NFL lines are never as bad as some of the college betting lines you see, but I'm sure it's not going to be pretty for your Miami Dolphins. But let's get into today's drive of the game, sponsored by the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Learn more at Lexus.com. And okay, when we started to get some hope that our Miami Dolphins were going to be in this game and maybe, get their first win of the season, was their first touchdown drive. Dolphins were down 12-0. New England had scored 2 touchdowns, missed both the extra points. I mean, Andy Borregales, who grew up in South Florida, I don't know if he was trying to help the Dolphins. Andy also nailed a 53-yarder for the Patriots in this one, but he missed a couple of extra points. So the Dolphins were able to get on the board and pull within 5 on an 8-play, 83-yard touchdown drive, taking 4.5 minutes off the clock, where the Dolphins offense started to show you glimpses of what they used to look like in better times during the Mike McDaniel era. Tua had a 9-yard completion to Devon Achane. Tua found Alec Ingold for 4 yards. Achane had a 9-yard run up to the Dolphins' 39-yard line. Tua had a 13-yard pass to Tyreek Hill into New England territory at their 48-yard line. You also had an 18-yard run on that drive by Malik Washington, who also scored on a punt return in the game. An Ollie Gordon 8-yard run, and then Tua caps off the drive with an 18-yard touchdown pass thrown to the corner of the end zone to Jalen Waddle to make it 12-7 New England. That was the drive of the game for your Miami Dolphins. It's not the only time that they scored. It didn't score enough today, but I thought that was the best drive, brought to you by the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales event. You know, Tyreek Hill did have a reception on that drive. Here is the undercover captain, Tyreek Hill, talking to the media after the game.
Most part, I feel like at the end of the game, those are the kind of situations that you want as an offense. It just comes down to operation and just knowing the situation. We got caught with too many guys in the huddle, and as one of the leaders of this team, like Tua, myself, Brew, we got to be able to like correct that, you know what I'm saying, amongst ourselves. So we'll be better from it.
Does starting out only two put more pressure on execution, or can it actually you guys up to play looser with like nothing to lose?
I feel like his opportunity, man. Pressure is opportunity. You know what I'm saying? So we got the right guys in the building who come in every day with the right mindset, who's looking to, you know, attack every day and get better. So that's how we're gonna approach it. The standard is the standard each and every day. So guys are blessed to be you know, here with the Dolphins, and obviously we don't want to be 0-2, but we look at it as fuel to the fire. So we're going to continue to, you know, go at it each and every week.
Last week you were only able to score 8 points.
Mm-hmm.
Today you were able to move the ball to you and to Jalen Waddle. So what can you build on as you look forward to Buffalo from this game?
We definitely can use this as momentum. Tua looked real good back there, you know, throwing the appeal today, not only to myself but to Waddle and also A-Chain out the backfield. So it was a good feel. Felt like old time. So hopefully we can continue that momentum and, you know, go into the next week against Buffalo and, you know, just keep doing that same thing, keep attacking down the field, because that's one of our biggest strengths. If we're able to, you know, run the ball and then also attack downfield, I feel like we are going to put up a lot of points.
Going into Buffalo on a short week at 0-2.
Oh, we're ready, man. You know, we're ready. I feel like last year, the last time we played those guys, we lost by a field goal, if I'm not correct. So it's on everybody's radar right now. So we're ready.
Locker room, in a situation like this where, again, you're 0-2, you fall short, how do you keep the locker room together as a whole, as a team, not letting this 0-2 become more than just that?
Well, for me, man, I've been in situations like this, even when I played in Kansas City earlier in my career. And one thing the leaders used to do when I was there is, you know, just communication, man. Just, you know, keeping the morale up any way you can. Because at the end of the day, like, we all know that it's football, and it's still early in the season and things can change. So, like I said, we got a great coaching staff. We got a great organization here, and we got the right people in the building, you know, who comes to work every day looking to attack. So,
Tyreek, where does the confidence come from that, like you just said, things can change, but where does the belief come from that they will?
Comes from our leaders, our captains, our leadership group, man. So, and then obviously myself, man, guys who have experience in this league. Like I said, man, I started 0-2 in this league before, and we ended up going on like a 8-game win streak. So it doesn't matter, man. So it's all about how you approach it each and every day. So, I mean, right now, as soon as we get back to the meeting room, I'm telling the receivers that same exact story. Like, so it can be flipped around. It's all about how you approach it and how you attack every day. Like, which side do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the good side, or do you want to be on the bad side of it? Like, so how do you want to be remembered also? So,
Hey, Rick, you've returned punts before in your career.
Yeah.
What did you see from Malik today, and how much of a charge did it give the sidelines when he did that?
That was huge, man. That was very good, man. Especially in that moment, you know, making a big play, 5th round draft pick, making a big play, you know, turning the crowd up. And also I was like, hey, I really don't want to go in. So he did his thing, man. He got us going, but unfortunately they returned it back themselves. So it was kind of sad, but I'm very proud of Malik. Like I said, man, I see flashes of myself and Malik every day, man. He comes in, works his tail off every day, doesn't complain, and, you know, he's eager to get better. So he's going to continue to get better too.
I actually like that interview from Reek. You had a good mix of like confidence and intensity, right? Like I felt some leadership in what Tyreek was saying there, how he handled it. And I know he doesn't seem to be phased by the 0-2 start. I certainly am phased by the 0-2 start, but he pointed out he's been on teams before that started 0-2 and then rattled off an 8-game winning streak. I'd love to see it, Tyreek. I would love to see it. And he referenced, and of course McDaniel, who we heard from earlier, referenced that awful final drive for the Dolphins. I want to go through that with you guys, where Miami had the opportunity. The drive started at Miami's 40-yard line. They started off with 1:47 on the clock, and that was a score a touchdown or lose drive. Down 6, Miami needed a touchdown there. The drive started with a 7-yard pass from Tua to Jalen Waddle, a 9-yard pass from Tua to Alec Ingold, an 18-yard pass to Devon Achane. But that was the one. It was 18 yards, but Achane, we thought initially, had scored a touchdown, but it turns out he had a couple of toes out of bounds at the New England 26. So instead of a touchdown, Miami had 1st and 10 in New England territory. Then is when things started to get really ugly. Dolphins 5-yard penalty for a false start moves them back to 1st and 15, followed by right after one penalty, a 5-yard penalty for delay of game. Mike McDaniel didn't get the play call in time. Incompletion then to Jalen Waddle. No gain. You're at the New England 36, remember, after the 2 penalties. An 8-yard pass. Tua to Eskridge pulls up 2nd and how could that be set? Oh, that turned up that was on 2nd and 20. That brings up 3rd and 12 at the New England 28. Tua Tagovailoa gets sacked on 3rd down. That brings up a 4th and 12. Tua gets sacked on 4th down, and that was the end of the football game. And the two penalties were inexcusable on that drive. I mean, you go from a 1st and 10 from the 26, false start, delay of game on consecutive opportunities to run a play. You're at 1st and 20, and everything went sideways, and not picking up enough yards for 2nd down gave New England an opportunity to go up against the right side of that offensive line with the 2 backups that ended up crumbling for the Dolphins. New England had the opportunity to exploit that. With that said, let's crown our player of the game. Sponsored by JM Lexus. JM Lexus has the best team in the business. A 4.8 Google rating with over 22,000 reviews and counting. JM Lexus, West Sample Road in Margate. I'm not going to give this one to a Dolphin. For the player of the game brought to you by JM Lexus, I'm going to go with young New England starting quarterback Drake May, who had a composed performance, too much time to throw. May completed 19 of his 23 passing attempts in this one for 230 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, also rushed 10 times for 31 yards and a rushing touchdown. So 3 total touchdowns for May. 0 turnovers committed by him on the day. New England, I don't think, committed any turnovers in the game. And Drake May takes home your player of the game. We're going to crown an offensive player of the game a little bit later on here. I want to reopen the phone lines again. We're going to be here for about almost another hour, by the way. We take you up until 7:30 tonight. I thought we had a great conversation with Omar Kelly. Now, Omar doesn't believe, and let me know if you guys are buying this. And by the way, I respect that Omar is a lot closer to the team than I am. So I will default to him on a lot of these things. I was of the opinion that if the Dolphins have another really poor showing Thursday night, which can happen on the road in Buffalo, and then you've got 11 days before your next game, which is 2 Mondays later against the Jets, 11-day gap. If you're 0-3 and the sky is falling, that seems like a logical time to fire your head coach. Now, Omar also brought up that earlier you fire your coach, it's not as if you're going to bring in the permanent new head coach at that point, that there's no way McDaniel could lose his job after this upcoming game. Do you guys agree with that? If it were to happen some point in season, do you think it might get all the way maybe until the bye week, which is not until, I think, November, week 12 for the Dolphins? Or do you do it sometime in October? But then if you do it in October, you're not going to have, at any point where you have 10 days off between games. So it does seem like to me you would, if you're going to make a coaching change, you have a window coming up this Friday, because then you've got a full 10 days before your following game after that. So just my 2 cents on it. But Omar disagreed. I respect his opinion on that. I want to open up the phone lines again when we come back. 305-567-0560. Dolphins lose to the Patriots 33-27 at home. You're listening to Game Day Uncensored postgame on FM 104.3 WQAM. Clear.
Miami Hurricanes football.
on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami's sports leader.
Welcome back into Game Day Uncensored Postgame Edition. Alex Donno with you guys, reacting to this 33-27 Miami Dolphins loss to the New England Patriots. Of course, Dolphins had an opportunity for a game-winning touchdown drive, came up short, 2 consecutive sacks after a couple of penalties, procedural penalties, helped derail that final drive on back-to-back plays at 1st and 10. Dolphins had a false start penalty, made it 1st and 15 in New England territory, but moved them from the 26 to the 31. And then a delay of game. Mike McDaniel couldn't get the play in time, 1st and 20, and things just got worse and worse from there. But we're going to go back to the phones because we got some folks. Some people were out at the game. Others were just watching it by choice. We all love our Miami Dolphins no matter what. Let's go to Howie in New York is on line 5.
Let's go to Grant. Let's go to Grant.
Oh,
He's been on hold for 2 hours.
Who? Grant? All right, let's go to Grant.
Grant, you're online.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, Grant.
Hey,
how
Alex.
are you?
How are you?
I'm good,
great,
man. I
great.
still have my health. I still have my family, even if I don't have Miami Dolphins wins.
I don't either, and I'm certainly not getting any joy from it. I've been a fan since the 70s, and I'm tired. I am definitely tired of this.
Now, let me ask you, early 70s,
thing,
did you get to see
go
some
ahead.
Super Bowls or late 70s?
I was 5 years old when they had the perfect season, and my dad had introduced me back to the Dolphins then. So,
nice.
But like a lot of the other callers, how do we have the strength of the defense that front seven let Buffalo? Let the other team just run through us like that. New England, excuse me. And I'm just the one area where we should be strong on defense, and I don't think we're even beginning to measure up. I can't wait for the end of the season when we do have a new coach, a new GM, and I really hope they have the guts enough to move Tua out of the way, because he's Ryan Tannehill 2.0. It's just, man.
Ooh,
very
you're going to ruffle some feathers with that one. I'm not going to argue, though.
I like him. He's likable, but you get him. X-Man really had it nailed down. You get him past his first read, and he becomes very average at best. And he does not make plays in a way that make a difference when there's trouble. He just doesn't do it. And is he really the guy that we are going to lean on for another 3 or 4 years? He never should have been paid the money that he was paid. Greer letting him have that contract really handicapped our team, and just continued to show bad decisions by Greer. Don't really know the answers, but it's depressing.
It is. I appreciate the call. As far as as far as the Tua stuff goes, at this point, it is his 6th season. I'm not expecting Tua to be the next guy to lead Miami to the promised land, which I would say is a Super Bowl. I know the people who still defend Tua, who seem to want another 4 or 5 years, would say, well, it's everybody's fault but his. He just doesn't have enough of an O-line, doesn't have enough of a running game, doesn't have competent management. The thing is, when you say that, you're not wrong, but you're also not right. There can be other parts of the problem, but he can still be part of that problem, because I don't think Tua is the solution. Now, listen, you can say that if everything around him was perfect, Tua Tagovailoa could win you a Super Bowl. Absolutely. If you fix the offensive line, if you get your house in order on defense, which means, getting competent corners on the field and having more of a physical bruising running game, you could win a Super Bowl with Tua Tagovailoa as your quarterback. What he doesn't seem to be is someone who's going to elevate things when everything around him isn't completely up to par. So listen, you can decide how essential that is. The question you're going to have to ask yourself over the next couple of years is it easier to assume whoever's in charge of drafting and signing players may still be Chris Grier for another 50 years, or it may be someone else in the next year or two? Do you trust whoever's in charge? Is it easier for them to fix everything around your quarterback, or fix some of that stuff and then also fix the quarterback position with someone else? I think that's where we're at. With that said, it would be disingenuous of me to sit here and say Tua Tagovailoa is the sole problem. If you had Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes as your quarterback, that this team would be winning Super Bowls year after year. It would be disingenuous and unfair for me to say that. Tua's not the entire problem. I think he's part of it. But I still 6 years in, and I still worry about the injury stuff. He's gotten, so far 2 games in, he's healthy, 15 games left to go. He's only had 1 healthy season so far in the NFL. And he definitely has not consistently had his fastball, certainly not these first 2 games. Had some errant throws. I mean, he threw 1 interception today. He kind of threw 2. First of those got negated by a penalty on New England. I still saw that throw with my own 2 eyes. So to me, he's part of the problem. Who should we go to next on the phone line?
Jason in Iowa. We're global, I like to say. Jason
in the farmlands. Hey, Jason.
Hey, how are you guys doing, guys?
Doing well.
First time caller. I just want to premise what I'm saying by there is enough blame to go around. However, when you look at this roster and the way that it was built, you know that you have a quarterback that loves to go to the gong show. And the best way to protect that quarterback is to run the ball. And you're going to tell me that Jaden Daniels or Austin Jackson are the answers when they've already been hurt, and you don't add depth to this team. You don't add depth to the offensive line. How long has it been since we had depth on our offensive line? Take the ball out of Tua's hands and run the ball. And that helps with the national narrative that, oh, you're a soft team. Well, you're not going to be soft if you can run the ball.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the fact that you brought up that, well, if everything is around Tua is perfect. No, it doesn't have to be perfect. It needs to be competent. Larry Borum and Keon Smith on the right side, you have the smallest center in the NFL, and then you have 2 rookies on the left-hand side. And you still have Waddle, A-Chain, and Tyreek. And you're going to tell me that this offensive line can stand up to Baltimore, Philly, whoever, Buffalo. No, Chris Grier has done this team such an in-service. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to say it for Omar. They're not going to fire Chris Grier because he knows some stuff that's going to blow
it's
the
funny.
whole
Omar did
organization
say
up.
that. Like he started, he didn't want to say it, and then he eventually did say it.
And also, the defense, there's no excuse. I mean, this is the first year that we've had a returning defensive coordinator, and these are the things that we're doing. And, we could have extended Brooks. We could have extended Dotson to get a little bit of cap space, so we could have brought some offensive linemen in. I mean, even the guys that got hurt in training camp for the offensive lineman, what was his name? Afidi or something like that. But Chris Grier has not built this team. And I think, just my own humble poopy opinion, Mike McDaniel can have these players execute if we have players that are actually competent. We got Larry Borum from the Bears. Who picks up an offensive lineman from the Bears, my guy?
Maybe back in the 80s, that would have been a good move.
You're right. Thank you very much. But if you want to change the narrative that we're soft, then run the ball. Run it down people's throats. It's amazing to me. Tua can be the answer, but it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be competent. And I think Mike McDaniel does have the answers for them if they're competent. But if you're behind the eight ball, what are you supposed to do?
I mean, good call. I mean, still though, like McDaniel, still there's been procedural stuff, getting plays in on time. So sometimes the eye candy is too much when you get these illegal motion penalties. You got to put some of it on McDaniel, and he's also the one who sets the tone for the toughness. But I get the point he's making, like the guy who's actually picking the players. Like if you want to have a team that's not soft, you do need to be drafting and signing players that are not soft. So there is that. Oh man, getting a lot of colorful comments in the live chat. Some of these I probably shouldn't read here. Well, why don't we get ourselves into the 7:00 hour after we crown our offensive player of the game, sponsored by Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto Mall. All right, so I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins for offensive player of the game. Last week we couldn't use, there was no offense, but I'll go with an offensive player of the game for your Miami Dolphins. And Devon Achane, I believe. Now, if you're including special teams into it, I'd give it to Malik Washington. But Devon Achane, 8 receptions for 92 yards and a receiving touchdown to go along with 30 rushing yards. So 122 total yards and a touchdown for Achane on this one. And like he was like a toe tap out of bounds away from scoring what could have been the game-winning touchdown for Miami in this one. So Achane gets our offensive player of the game. We'll kick off the 7:00 hour when we come back. If you guys want to get in, 305-567-0560 is how you reach us. 305-567-0560. Alex Donno with you guys. We got Trevor Harris. Oh, Trevor, what I should do when I come back, an NFL scoreboard.
Can we do that? We're going to do a lightning round of all these callers. I want all these callers in, out, point.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, when we come back, NFL scoreboard, I'll try to go lightning with that. NFL scoreboard, lightning round of phone calls when we come back here on FM 104.3 WQAM.
Hey, we want to hear what you have to say.
FM and HD1 Miramar, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and WQAM AM Miami, an Odyssey sports station.
Powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys.
Call 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
The game is ended, and now we begin. It's Game Day Uncensored, post-game edition. Real talk, real reaction, real opinions for real Miami football fans on FM 104.3 WQAM, Miami sports leader.
We're going to be taking you guys up to Falcons-Vikings, by the way. We're going to have Sunday Night Football here with pregame starting at 7:30 p.m. So we got you up until then here on Game Day Uncensored postgame. I am Alex Donno. Got Trevor Harris with us. He's got his Eagles hat on. Looking good last I checked for the Eagles. We'll get our scores in just a second. We'll do a lightning round on the phone lines before we wrap it up here. So 305-567-0560 if you want to be ready for that. Let's take a look at our scores around the country, though. All right, so we'll see if the Colts can go to 2-0. They are 3rd and 7 at the Denver 40, trailing by 2 against the Broncos. 17 seconds to go. Broncos on top of the Colts, 28-26. So a thriller in Indianapolis. Here, our game there last week was not that close, but this one is. Under 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter in Arizona. The Cardinals lead the Panthers 27-21. Mention the Philadelphia Eagles. They're getting their Super Bowl rematch, trying to win again against the Kansas City Chiefs. And that one is 4:24 to go in the fourth quarter, and the Eagles are up 20-10. It's 2nd and 13, Kansas City at their own 25-yard line. So the Eagles are trying to get another one over
and
the
a
Chiefs.
Sack.
Oh, a sack? Nice.
Yes. No timeouts for the Chiefs, by the way. No timeouts for the Chiefs.
Good for Philly. Mentioned we have Sunday Night Football coming up tonight on the radio station. You'll have the Minnesota Vikings hosting the Atlanta Falcons, 8:20 p.m. You can hear it right here. Minnesota favored by 3.5 points at home. Final scores from earlier. Now, the Bengals, they lost Joe Burrow to turf toe in this one, but Cincinnati wins 31-27 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. In overtime, the Dallas Cowboys get their first win of the year. They survive the New York Giants. Giants fall to 0-2. Cowboys win 40-37 in OT. Lions had a slow start against Buffalo, but Detroit ends up winning big, 52-21. 5 touchdown tosses by Jared Goff in that victory. The Rams over the Tennessee Titans, 33-19. Titans are obviously not a very good team. That's why they had the first overall draft pick. Seeing some good stuff, though, from Cam Ward early in his career. He threw a cross-body dart of a touchdown pass in this one. His first NFL touchdown. Ward, in defeat, went 19 for 33, 175 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. So Cam Ward got his first NFL touchdown pass in that one. 49ers over the Saints, 26-21 in New Orleans. Buffalo Bills, who the Dolphins are going to see 4 nights from now, they beat the New York Jets 30-10. Seahawks over the Steelers, 31-17, your final score. Both those teams are now 1-1 on the year. Baltimore Ravens destroyed the Cleveland Browns. You remember the Ravens used to be the Browns, and then they moved to Cleveland, and they made a new Browns. Ravens 41-17 winners. Lamar Jackson, 4 touchdown passes to go along with 225 passing yards in this one. Your final from Thursday night saw the Green Bay Packers improve to 2-0 with a 27-18 win against the Washington Commanders. Going to have a doubleheader on Monday Night Football tomorrow, 7 o'clock. You'll have the Houston Texans, 2.5-point favorites at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then you'll have the Las Vegas Raiders, who are 3.5-point underdogs at home against the Chargers. That one's going to be a late night affair, 10 p.m. Eastern time for the second leg of Monday Night Football tomorrow. All right, Trevor, I'll let you take the wheel for this one in terms of who
busy
we got.
night in Vegas because of the Terrence Crawford and the Canelo fight anyway. So that stadium is busy today. I'll say that.
Sure.
All right. Patriots beat the Dolphins 33-27. That was, I like to say, special teams were not valued for today. How about that? Can we say that?
I mean, they were bad on both sides. They kind of cancel each other out because you had a punt return from the Dolphins, and then immediately after a kickoff return touchdown from the Patriots.
Yes, definitely. Seahawks blow out the Pittsburgh Steelers in Aaron Rodgers' home debut, 31-17.
Yeah.
Trouble in paradise for Aaron Rodgers. Oh, no.
I mean, the guy's like 45. I think it might just be time to call it a career.
Maybe. Lions and Bears. Did you hear that the Lions fans were throwing expletives at Ben Johnson anyways after their blow? That was great anyways.
Yeah, I did.
Did you see that Mac Jones was starting for the San Francisco 49ers over the
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Purdy's out for a while because he's got.
I did see that. Yeah. I didn't realize Mac Jones was the next guy up there.
I guess Tim Rattay was not available, I like to say. So
Yeah.
Saints lost 26-21. So 49ers are 1-1 in the division. How about that? And the Bills beat up on the Jets 30-10. I saw that. The big game, we have a lot of late game action in the bridge window. We have a 2-point game between Broncos and Indy, and the Carolina Panthers are only down by 5 right now to the Arizona Cardinals, 27-22. This is a nutty late window, I like to say, for that for sure. So
this has been an awesome weekend, man. And we had some crazy results in college football yesterday.
Lightning delays too.
We had 5 of them, I think, yesterday, and they weren't all in Florida or South Florida. We had some in Texas, I think in
Purdue.
Purdue. I was gonna say somewhere in the Midwest. Yeah, that would be the one. Lightning delays all over the place.
Lightning delays all over. So that's what's going on. So late window, you got craziness between the Broncos and Colts, Panthers, Cardinals. It is a final, by the way. The Colts beat the Broncos 29-28. How about that, by the way? We have a final.
You know what? If I can talk myself into the Colts being future Super Bowl champs, and in the New England Patriots, you're like recapturing the spirit of Bill Belichick and his protege Mike Vrabel, and Tom Brady in Drake May, who looks pretty good today. I could say the Dolphins have lost to 2 awesome football teams so far, and maybe the Dolphins will make a deep AFC playoff run.
We'll see, but right now we do have a 3-point game now in Kansas City. The Chiefs scored. Tyquell Thornton had a nice long touchdown. So the Chiefs are down by 3 if they kick the extra point right now in the late window between the Eagles and Chiefs. So
we got anybody on hold for the lightning round?
Yeah, we got a lot of callers. Let's go to Leah and Boca. Leah, how are we doing?
Fire. A lot of things I could roll off that word, but I'm not going to be repetitive. But in line with last week's therapy sesh, one word to describe my feelings this season is just apathy. Unfortunately, before Tua's last pick today, I started to have that little fire growing in me again. Like I was feeling it. It was feeling good. Unfortunately, I'm strongly trying to subdue that good feeling so I don't get heartbroken. But it was starting to come alive. My blood's pumping. And just deep down, I always feel like Tua is going to crumble or crack. And I no longer have true, genuine faith, which is a shame because I feel as a fan, it's my duty to keep the faith. But sadly, where I'm at is just apathy.
Yeah, Leah, to take you behind the scenes, like so before the Dolphins' final drive, it was touchdown or lose, which ended up in a sack for a turnover on downs. But Trevor, did I not say to you when that drive started, I said, I think this is going to end in an interception was what I was expecting there. It was almost that bad, not quite that bad.
Let's go to Alex in Kendall or Miami. So, Alex, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Alex? I'm going to have to disagree with Omar Kelly. I think that Mike McDaniel needs to wake up early in the morning and go to his local U-Haul, pick up a couple of extra large boxes, and start packing his office. Going forward, I don't think it's going to be pretty against Buffalo. And I think on Friday they're going to make a change because there is a nice window of opportunity there where they can make a little bit of a smoother transition. I also think that maybe the Dolphins can crash and hit the deck for a little bit of Carson Beck.
Yeah, listen, man, I can talk myself into that. Obviously, I watch Carson Beck quite closely every Saturday, and I watched as much of training camp that was open to the media. I cover the Miami Hurricanes day to day. I've been super impressed with what I've seen. I mean, he is an NFL quarterback. I mean, the question is going to be, how far he goes and does he find the right opportunity in the NFL? But he can make all the throws, and I think what impresses me about Beck especially is the way he processes, the way he goes through his progressions, and he can take your deep shots. Like he had a nice deep shot, the 38-yard touchdown he threw to Josh Moore yesterday, and he knows when to take the checkdowns as well. Has had a few of those this season in a way that just really works in the confines of Shannon Dawson's offense. So I know people were trying to write Beck off, after last season, but it's back on, right? I don't know if he's going to be the first quarterback taken, but I think he can play himself back into the first round. Is I think the type of year that he can have.
Let's go to the ATL Black Infinity Fish Out of Water. How we doing?
What's going on, guys? I just wanted to piggyback off what my man Jason in Iowa was saying. There's plenty of blame to go around. True enough. Weeze, McDaniel, Tua. Y'all know that I do not like Tua, so I won't beat that horse to death. All I'll say is limited athletic ability, no pocket escapability, and health availability. I'm done with Tua. He was never even on my radar. Now, with Chris Greer, Omar Kelly can't say it because he works for a news publication, but I don't. I'm not held to those limitations, so I can go ahead and say it. Chris Greer will not be fired from his position. He'll simply be moved to another part of the organization because, yes, he was a part of the recruitment of trying to get John Harbaugh here back when we had Sperano.
Oh.
He knows where the bodies are buried on that.
Yeah.
He was a part of the recruitment to try to get Tom Brady here and use Brian Flores to do so and tamper with trying to get Tom Brady here. There is no way you were going to get Tom Brady here and have Tua on the roster at the same time. So that means at some point, the GM that picked Tua lost faith in him because he wanted to get rid of him at some point. Let's talk about that. Now, you want to add that to it. Stephen Ross blew trying to go after Sean Payton. Chris Greer was a part of that process, and Brian Flores, that's his whole lawsuit is about the shortcoming of hiring black head coaches and the honest opportunity that they're given to succeed in comparison to their white counterparts. Nobody wants to talk about this. Oh, why you got to bring race into it? You always got to bring race.
I didn't cut him off there because of anything he was saying. Now, I will say that in terms of like the allegations on why Greer could be moved are they are allegations. I don't want to step in any legal gray area there, but I mean we have our understandings that there could be reasons why he's been in that spot for 25 years. Who else we got?
Howie from New York. Howie, go.
Hey, Howie.
Hey guys, thanks for taking my call. Listen, I just want to add 3 quick points. Number one, what bothers me so much being a fan of this team for decades is that we approach every season recently with the bar being so low. Fans, media, the management of this team wants to make the playoffs, talks about maybe winning a playoff game. I feel like real championship teams and organizations talk about winning the Super Bowl. So that's point number one. Point number two, the penalties today in this game were just ridiculous. I think they had 10 penalties. It's an indictment on the coach. They talk about learning from their mistakes. If you listen to these quotes over and over again from the players and the coaches, we're going to learn from it. We're going to watch film, blah, 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 blah. 10 penalties, sloppy, undisciplined. And the third point is I'm struck by watching Mike McDaniel, listening to his nonsense, can't even understand a word he says. He reminds me now of Adam Gase. He looks confused on the sidelines. He's supposed to be this offensive genius wizard, and we struggle so much. It's like he's Adam Gase.
I do get a little bit of that vibe, a little less arrogant. Like Gase would come off with a little bit more of a holier than thou, but I can see some similarities there. Who else we got, Trevor?
Alejandro and Kendall, I believe, line 6. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
Hey, doing good.
All right. So here we go. Hot take. Bring Nick Saban here to save Tua. Maybe that might be the way to go. Maybe there might be a Hail Mary there, and then
somebody, I think it was Greg McElroy, Lane Kiffin. They said that Saban's got the itch to coach again. They both said.
Zach Yelp said it earlier this year on Hawk and Crowder too. Anyways, he pitched.
Yeah, he might have been quoting those other guys though. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe he makes that phone call, but And reality is, I saw no urgency. That's what really ticked me off. It just looked like everybody was just, going through the motions. And it looks like Tyreek Hill and Waddle, if they go to another team, they're going to be successful. If you put Tua in another team, he's going to be in the league for 2 or 3 years and being a backup, and then he's gone. That's my take.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Got anybody else here on the lightning round?
Yeah.
Hey.
Hello. Hey, how's it going, Donno?
Good. How about you?
Doing well. It's Rick in Carroll City, buddy. Been a long time.
Oh, Rick, how are you, man? Long time.
I know. Hope Luca's doing good now. He's a big boy these days, I hear. So
yeah,
hope
he's 7, my son, and he's so into football now. Like that's all he wants to do is watch college games, NFL games. He's actually helping me do my job better because if ever I don't want to watch a game, he makes sure I watch it all.
Well, he's learning from a great one. So definitely love your work there, Donald. But I wanted to point out a couple of things. In terms of the reality of our situation, you go back to that year when Tua was drafted. I'm sure you remember, I wanted Jordan Love. I wanted to wait around. I didn't like Herbert. I wasn't sold on him. Loved the athleticism, but a little bit too robotic and stiff. I felt Tua was too injury prone, made that very clear. And then I told him my pick is Jordan Love. Now, I'm not telling you Jordan Love is head and shoulders above both of them, but he's just I think he's actually won playoff games. As a quarterback, he's progressed in the right manner. You need a guy that fits those measurables in today's NFL. You don't need little guys who can't see over the trees. And that's why everything's been tailored. And give McDaniel a lot of credit. He was able to rebuild to a psyche first and foremost. Yeah, you got weapons around him and all that, but he rebuilt his psyche and found something that worked for him. Everything that's quick functions very well with him. But those are his limitations. That's what he can and can't do. So as any competent general manager that's out there, and Chris Greer's no fool. He's a second-generation NFL, comes from a second-generation NFL family. So he understands the business very well. There's no issue about him not being fired, blah, blah, blah. That's all crap. He is an NFL guy. And his brother is in charge of the San Jose Sharks. That's a professional family. A second generation, so he ain't going nowhere. He has a long career ahead of him, and his son also has a long career ahead of him, who just finished at South Carolina. So let's throw that crap out the window already. What we're looking at is this. He made error after error after error in personnel, and then he doubled down. There was no reason to re-sign to him. You had other priorities. He had another year on his contract. You refused to do that. Should have made it very clear. We're going to wait to see how you do health-wise because you are a risk. This is a business. And those parameters, had they been established very early on, they would have been fine. And the kid would have been fine because you would have tagged him. And that's still going to give him some decent guaranteed money. Not exactly
I'm with you. Rick, let me let you run because I want to try to squeeze one or two more in here before we wrap. Who we got, Trevor?
Line 9. You're fire away. You're on the air.
Hey, this is Big Justin.
Hey,
the fact that everyone's giving Hey, what's up, man? The fact that everyone's giving Stephen Ross a pass on this is out of control. This guy put an F1 track, put a tennis court, put a gondola in the stadium that I tailgated at for the last 25 years because he wanted to make more money. And what he didn't do is care about the Dolphins, about the players, the coaches, the GM. His reaction, his lack of a reaction to everything here is completely out of control. And the media won't go after him for whatever reason. I love Omar. I love you guys. But why won't the narrative be that this is going to be broken until we have a new owner?
Because for one thing, I don't know if that would, if he could actually be pressured into selling the team. I mean, he already has a succession plan now. He's going to hand the team off to his daughter, which she may do a better job. I don't know. I mean, maybe his daughter will end up being a better, more successful owner than he was. But I don't think there's anything we could do when you're talking about the owner of the team. I mean, can we bully him to the point of selling it to Jorge Mas or something? I don't think so. But I'm with you. I'm not going to give him a pass to answer your question. I mean,
all right, final full callers. Let's go quick on these. Line 10, go.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, it's Rich in Coral Springs.
Hey, Rich.
Hey, man.
So anyway, I had season tickets for 15 years. I gave them up because I got tired of the losing, and this is before the McDaniel era. And I tell you, I wish I had $100 bill for every time McDaniel called the play in late, and we got, delay of games and burn timeouts and all this stuff. And him with his capri pants and his hoodies and his designer glasses. As far as I'm concerned, he should be working the ball pit at birthday parties at Chuck E. Cheese's, okay? This guy is not a leader of men, and maybe Jalen Ramsey was onto something where he said that people don't want to play for a coach they don't respect. There's something there. And Greer has made one whiff after another, and I don't know why this guy still has a job running an NFL team. So, it's a hard product to watch. I mean, he's whiffed on so many guys, and Cam Smith's another one. Second-round pick, guy can't play. Tyndall couldn't play. Ezekama couldn't play. Charles Harris got drafted. We passed on T.J. Watt. Draft ignominy, a bust like nobody's business instead of Jonathan Taylor. So, and then he signed Beckham last year. What a waste of time that was. He just got his 4-1 paycheck. And now he did the same thing again this year and signed Waller. Yeah. So, this is an organizational failure from top to bottom. And I agree with the last caller with Ross doing all this stuff to the stadium and making his millions, but not caring enough about the Dolphins.
Yeah, and let me let you run because we got to wrap it up in a second. And I never get to ride the gondola either because they don't run it on the college Saturdays. Like I always see it. It's just like sitting there. I'm like, man, I want to ride that gondola. I probably wouldn't get to ride it for free anyway. But yeah, this guy Tyler who just started tuning in said, well, this is rage-inducing. He says, I'm late. Are the Dolphins turning this around or not? Stay tuned for next week. Dan Day is going to be handling post-game duties on Thursday night after the Dolphins. I'm sure the Dolphins are going to dominate Buffalo on Thursday evening, and Dan will tell you all about a big Dolphins victory and how they're turning things around. Sunday Night Football is coming up next. The Falcons at Vikings. You'll catch pregame and the full game right here on 104.3 WQAM.
WQAM, broadcasting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto